we'd like to get moving on our meeting. Welcome. This is November 18th, 2025. This is our 7 p.m. board meeting. We're going to begin by indicating who's here. Julie?
Julie Jackson.
Kim Chandler.
Connie Burgess.
Chris Wynn.
Karen Winder.
Clark Nelson.
Todd Hubbard.
Nicole McDermott. Superintendent Ben Horsley is here. He's out, I think, with the media right now, so he will join us as soon as he can. We're going to go ahead and... Sorry, I apologize. Let me get to the right one. First of all, recognize any visitors that we have here today. If we could, first let's start with our PTA. Do we have PTA representatives here? Please stand and introduce yourself.
Liz Schoen, Region 5 Chair. Amy Ward, Ranger Council President.
Thank you. And GEA?
Michelle Jones, GEA President. Karen Burns, GEA Board of Directors.
Granite Office Professionals?
Dana Breeze, President. Sherry Anderson, Hourly Secretary Representative.
Do we have any middle managers? GESPA? Granite Education Foundation? I didn't see anybody, but I can remember someone. Do we have any elected officials? And then could we just ask our administrators, any administrators who are here to stand and be recognized? Any school administrators? Thanks, Mandy. All right, we're going to go ahead and do our Pledge of Allegiance. We're going to invite Tiffany Malumba up to, I think, okay. I didn't know if your child was coming up too.
Please stand and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to our, sorry, on the wrong agenda again. Our reverence. And invite Magnus Team up. Our magnet music makers.
So board and superintendency, these are our students from Magnus Team Academy. These are our magnet music makers, led by one of our second grade teachers. This is Heidi Calford. I'll let you, Mrs. Calford, introduce the songs that are going to be singing tonight. Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and sing I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing, an oldie but goodie. And then This Land is Your Land in celebration of all of our veterans.
I like to teach the world
Thank you so much. That was amazing. We're going to go ahead and move on to our Good News Minute. And we'll go ahead and start with Clark, if that's okay.
Sure. I wanted to celebrate a couple of events I went to just this past week, and they happened to be at the same school, and they happened to be back-to-back, but I had the opportunity to attend the wonderful play My Son Pinocchio Jr. at Crestview Junior High. I went to the very late hours of the night, and it was spectacular. And the very next morning, the same school hosted a Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day. It was awesome to see the kids out walking together to school, and the symbolism of walking together and walking with a purpose to be inclusive and to be the kind. What was stated by one of the PTA representatives there was that to be the kind of person that will reach out to somebody that needs to hold hands with somebody else or walk with somebody else as they walk into school. So 2 great events, and I was grateful to be a part of them.
Thanks, Clark. Karen?
I was invited to West Kearns to help out with some the special classes. The Halloween being on a Friday, some of the paraeducators weren't able to make it, and so I got to kind of hold hands as we paraded those kids throughout the school in their Halloween parade, and it was really fun to feel the energy in that classroom on Halloween, and bless our teachers, because Halloween there was a lot of energy in that entire school. I had the opportunity just this last Saturday to go to the foundation and put together some Santa sacks. These are kids in more needy areas who might not have a Christmas otherwise. And I asked the director over the Santa Sacks there, Kathy Newton, is a wonderful human being. And they plan on doing over 5,000 this year. So it was fun for some of us. Chris was there with me as well to put those together. I also was able to pop over to Kearns Junior. They had a literacy night a couple weeks ago. It was fun. They had everything from grammar games to classic cars out in the parking lot, and so there was something for everybody. And last but not least, I was able to attend the Veterans Day concert. This was a combined Granite Choir concert, and it's at the Tabernacle. It was a little bit different this year because you didn't have the National Army Band because of the federal stuff. And so we had a volunteer band instead, and they showed up, and the concert went on, and it was fantastic.
Thanks. Go ahead, Chris.
All right, I just want to highlight a couple things. We've had such a busy month. We were invited to the Magnus Steam Night. It was very well attended. The kids made these balloon cars and then they raced them. And what probably was the best part is we had so many families come and so many dads and moms there. We had parent involvement, and it just made my heart happy because I know those educators at Magnus Steam are putting so much time and effort into working on what are they, their goals. And this was such a well-attended night. I was so happy to be there. Also, I went to the Not So Scary Halloween Pleasant Green party, which is my perfect kind of Halloween party because I do not love scary. They had such a fun the kids went around and they got to pick a book, they got a treat, they had pizza. It was a very fun event put on by the PTA at Pleasant Green. A little scarier was the haunted escape room at Cypress High. So one of our math teachers, Sydney Moser Price at Cypress, invited, I think the superintendent got there a little late, but she put on the most fabulous haunted escape room, and the students were in groups. They had to solve math problems to open the locks on their different boxes. They had flashlights, they had to get the secret code, and they had one team do it while I was there. They escaped, and the other ones were very, very close, so she rewarded them anyway, but I was very proud of my sticker that I escaped the math room, the haunted escape room. So I was such a fun event. Sometimes we think in high school they don't want to celebrate the same way, but they love some of the same things our elementary kids love, which is prizes and treats and fun. The second, Karen mentioned Santa Sack, so I won't mention that, but I think it's such a privilege that we have a foundation who cares so deeply about our students that they want to make sure that we have some basic fun things for them at Christmas time, and also Kathy, she's amazing, and she works all year long on those Santa Sacks. The last thing I just want to highlight is the Cypress High held a student prevention suicide walk at their football field. It was a really neat event, and what I think was my favorite thing is it was mostly student driven. This was students helping students know that someone's there for them, someone cares about them, and they signed pledges, and it was such a great group of students there, and I felt like they are trying to change the world, and I think that gives me hope. So thank you.
Chris, Connie?
So it is fall time for musicals in the high schools. I went to see Mean Girls at Taylorsville High. Wonderful performance musically. Wow, they sang well. And the choreography was out of this world. I really enjoyed the play. I was also able to visit Fremont for their buddy breakfast and be introduced to the new community center that they have in the school. And thank you to all the employees for the extra work that it takes to have guests come into the school and communities to come in. And just so appreciative of all the parents that came to the buddy lunch and made it a real special day for their kids.
Thanks, Connie. Kim?
I would like to highlight two things in particular this month. One being the monthly SBO meeting that I attended. The student body officers meet with our district leadership on a monthly basis. And I just really enjoyed the meeting just because those student body officers who were there are just so, they're uplifting. They're very positive, they're energetic. They represented their schools well. We had an enlightening discussion about their views on PBL. It was a great meeting, so just wanted to highlight that. But second, the Veterans Day programs that I know took place across many of our schools this month. I attended the program at Wright Elementary, and they had all the veteran family members of the students attend, and they seated them up on the stage. I think usually when I've been to these programs, performers are up on the stage and the veterans are down with the crowd. But this time they had them up on the stage, like the place of honor in their event, and I thought that was really fun to see that. The students sat down below, and then each grade took turns singing a song that they had prepared, honoring the veterans. We had veterans of the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, and the Marines present, I believe. And just to see their reactions as the children sang, I honestly had goosebumps watching. The kids then lined the halls as they exited and cheered them all on their way out. It was just really, I think, a great program and a great way to show appreciation for our veterans. And I hope that they continue this tradition going for years to come. So thank you to Wright and to all other schools who presented.
Thanks, Kim. Julie?
It's been a busy month, I would say. It's been fun to be involved in the school musicals that have been going on, and by the end, I think I will have hit almost a musical every other night for the last few weeks, which is so thrilling. It's been it's really brought a lot of joy as I've been able to do that. STEAM night at Oakwood was fantastic. They had a great thing where they wrapped the kids up in a little bag and they put a vacuum cleaner in it to make them take out all the air, and they felt the pressure of what it could feel like if you were standing on Jupiter, and all kinds of different things, but it was just so spectacular. I had a great time. I wanted to highlight also that we have had a lot of lawmakers pay attention to us lately, and I really appreciate that. A bunch of us board members got to go and make literacy kits for our kindergartners and first graders with the governor and his staff at our foundation, which I thought was really a great opportunity to talk to them and help them understand the types of things that we are, the types of needs that we have here, and also the great things that are happening. We also got to talk with Senator Curtis, and we also had Senator Bluen come and visit. Was that Jefferson Jr. with you, Connie? He was there, yeah. Oh, he was at Elementaries. So I think that's worth celebrating. I think any time that we have our elected officials paying attention to what's going on here, that collaboration gets better.
Thanks, Julie. I don't have anything different than what has already been mentioned. I did want to highlight the Veterans Day concert. It was pretty spectacular. It always is. And I don't know how many people are aware. What happened was the 23rd Army Band was not, because of the government shutdown, they were not able to play for it. But a significant number of those people that were up on stage were actually from the 23rd Army Band, and so they were just donating their time, which I think is something to be recognized and acknowledged. The rest of the people that filled in there were community members. A large portion of them were people from our own district. They were teachers that teach here with our students, which shows you the absolute talent that we have here, but also other community members that they said, and these are people who normally get paid for their services, all of them, but they said this is something that is so important that we are willing to do this for free for these students, and it was amazing. It was really amazing to hear that. And I did want to also highlight, I have also been to a few musicals and plays. It is starting, most of them are just starting, and I look forward to seeing a few more. I did get out of the escape room, by the way. I helped some students, which makes me feel really good about my math skills. And it was a wonderful opportunity to be able to join the governor as well as his staff in packing those literacy kits for our kids, and hearing that they really are making a difference, because we are seeing results in our achievement in our young kids as we are handing out these literacy kits and they are being distributed to our students. So I think that's a significant significant thing to acknowledge that we have that. So thank you. We're going to go ahead and move on to our recognitions. We're going to first invite up, who's going to do? Aaron. Sorry, Aaron, it's not on here.
All right. Board President McDermott, members of the board, Superintendent Horsley are going to announce the fall recipients of Academic All-State for the fall season. This is an award given by the Utah High School Activities Association for people who play a varsity sport but maintain a 4.0 cumulative grade point average. And so as I call down your name, please come on down and meet the board and meet the superintendent and stick around for a photo. We ask that everybody hold their applause until late after. And if I don't name your name, please come down and kind of kick me and we'll make sure you're mentioned. So the 2025 Academic All-State team for fall for girls cross country, Audrey Edwards from Olympus, Tressa Slight from Olympus, Alexis Larson from Skyline. For football, Schuler Garlitz from Cypress, Chase Taylor from Olympus, a guy, Cash Grandin from Skyline. For girls soccer, Anna Neff from Olympus, Colette Fisher from Olympus, Greta Gardner from Olympus, Zoe Lang from Skyline. Girls tennis, Gracie Carter from Cypress, Grace Winder from Granger, Deba Zeta from Skyline. And finally, from girls volleyball, Amelia Okeson from Granger. So let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you. Congratulations. Good work.
And then after your photo, if you guys will come on out, we have a gift of appreciation for you guys from the district.
Over this way, guys. All right, everybody look right here on three. 1, 2, 3. You guys look like smart kids.
Oh, who do we have our parents also stand up if we have any parents here in the audience with our students? And any coaches, if there are any coaches? All right, thank you. We're going to go ahead and turn this time over now to Dr. Mandy Chappell, invite her up for a recognition that we have for our GTI and Granite Education Center.
Awesome. President McDermott, Superintendent Horsley, members of the board and superintendency, thank you so much for giving us a moment tonight to celebrate an important milestone for our district. 20 years ago, visionary board members and administrators made a bold decision to purchase and repurpose an old hospital, creating what is now known as the Granite Education Center. Today, the GEC is home to the Granite Technical Institute, Woodrow Wilson Elementary, and administrative offices, which is a campus that supports students and the community it serves. I'd like to take a moment and have two of my ambassadors for the GTI talk about what the GTI means to them as far as their academics. So let's go with Diana and Derek.
Hello. My name is Derek Robertson. I'm attending Skyline High School right now. And one thing I love about the GTI is the main purpose to empower students with the vision and purpose to seek learning after high school. And what that is to me, I am taking biotechnology at the GTI right now. And I am currently studying to learn more about the medical science pathway, and specifically the medical laboratory science pathway. And I am grateful for the work my teachers put in to make that possible and provide that to all students who attend the GTI. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Diana Doe, and I am a senior at Taylorsville High School. I am currently taking criminal justice and chemistry, and then medical forensics and biotechnology internship next semester. I appreciate the GTI as I've been taking classes since freshman year, but I truly fell in love with it when I discovered biotechnology my junior year because I want to become a forensic scientist. Through all the classes I've taken through my 4 years, I've taken steps towards my desired career that I wouldn't have been able to do without the GTI. As I graduate this spring, I hope every Granite School District student has the opportunity to find and explore their future career through the GTI just as I did. Thank you.
As you can tell, we have amazing students at the GTI. Currently, our enrollment for the GTI is at 3,400 students from 8 high schools. So we service all of our students and stakeholders across the community. So we'd like to show a short video which reflects on the vision of this campus, celebrates the impact of the GEC, and honors those who made it possible.
For more than a century, Granite School District has been part of Utah's story. Foundation built on learning, community, and progress. Founded in 1904, Granite's name reflects the strength and resilience our district has demonstrated for generations. That same strength shaped one of our most innovative achievements, transforming a former hospital into the Granite Education Center. Now, 20 years later, we celebrate the vision and leadership that turned that bold idea into a thriving center of learning and excellence. Today, the GEC is home to the Granite Technical Institute, Woodrow Wilson Elementary, and the district's administrative offices, a campus that continues to strengthen and support our entire district community. The Granite Technical Institute, or GTI, was created to bridge the gap between classroom learning and the real world. It's where education meets innovation and where students gain hands-on experience that prepares them for college, career, and life. Inside the GTI, every hallway tells a story of discovery. Students explore engineering and robotics, health science and biotechnology, culinary arts and hospitality, information technology, skilled trades, and more. Through partnerships with local colleges and industry leaders, students learn from professionals, work with advanced tools, earn certifications, and bring their ideas to life. The GTI is more than a building. It's a community of learners, mentors, and innovators who help students discover who they are, what they love, and what they're capable of achieving. But the impact of the Granite Education Center extends beyond the GTI. Woodrow Wilson Elementary provides a warm, supportive place for young learners, often serving some of the district's most diverse and resilient families. Its classrooms are filled with curiosity, creativity, and opportunity. Within the administrative offices, dedicated professionals support every school in the district, managing operations, finances, human resources, technology, curriculum, and much, much more. Together, this shared campus reflects Granite's commitment to serving students from kindergarten through graduation. The Granite Education Center stands as a proud reflection of Granite School District's legacy, rooted in service, innovation, and opportunity. As we look to the next century, the Granite Education Center remains at the forefront of learning and collaboration. Because here, students don't just dream about the future, they build it. Thank you to the Granite School District board members and administrators who had the vision for the Granite Education Center 20 years ago and took bold steps to make this all possible.
We have many board members and district administrators in attendance tonight who were with the district 20 years ago when the GEC was purchased. We would like to invite them to come forward to receive a token of appreciation and stand for a photograph. If we could hold our applause until everyone has been read. My student ambassadors have a gift for them as well as a medal that shows the 20-year anniversary of the GTI as well. First, we have Julene, if they are here tonight, if we have Julene Jolly, please come up. Connie Burgess. Patricia Sandstrom, Sarah Meyer, Carol Cannon, Judy Weeks, Henry Bertosh, Lynn Davidson, Stephen Ronenkamp, David Garrett, and Dave Gurley. If we could give them a round of applause.
back could you scoot one way or the other? Perfect. Perfect. In the back, could you two just scoot over a little bit? Perfect, right?
Running cam's too tall.
All right, everybody look right here on 3. 1, 2, 3.
And I'd just like to say something really quick. I came to Granite School District 17 years ago, and it was my understanding this facility was purchased for about $9 million. Is that correct? 16 with all the conversion. No, go ahead, sir.
This hospital cost about 60 to 70 million. I'm retired. But yeah, 60 to 70 million dollars.
Yes. And now we host 3,800,
3,400.
And our elementary school and our facility here, to build an elementary school right now would cost us about $40 million. And a high school is roughly $200 million. So the investment made all that time ago and the vision from these individuals and others who are not with us today is just unprecedented. This is the premier CTE facility in the entire Intermountain West. And Davis is trying to catch up and pretend that they did it first, but we did it right here.
We did it
in Granite
first.
School District, thanks to you wonderful folks. Can we give them another huge round of applause? All right, we're gonna, if you guys want to hang out, we've got some stuff we want to vote on, but you're welcome
You know you miss the 4-hour meetings. All right, next item on our agenda is our granted elected officials participation. I did not see any elected officials here unless I missed somebody. So we're going to go ahead and move on. Our next item is patron participation. I want to be clear, if you have signed up for participation in speaking to the study, that will come later. This is for other participation, patron participation, and as we have none that are signed up that I'm aware of, we are going to go ahead and move on to our consent items. So next we have our consent items. These have been items that we've been able to look at over the last few days. If we've had any questions or anything, we've been able to ask questions. If there's no further questions, I will entertain a motion.
We approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion on this? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. The next item on our agenda is our information item for student enrollment report. This is our student enrollment report. So we're going to invite up Mr. Steve Hogan to give us an update on our enrollment report.
Board President, if I might, this is an annual report we're required to provide under state statute. So Steve does this for us, and we're going to try and be as brief as possible, knowing that there's some other items on the agenda that members of the public are interested in.
Thank you again, Board President, Vice President, board members, superintendency, and others. My name is Steve Hogan. I'm the Director of Planning and Boundaries, and as Superintendent mentioned, tonight's undercard, if you will, leading up to the main event is the annual enrollment report. I'll give just a brief report, and this again what I do each year to give kind of a thumbnail sketch of where we're at. What I want to do is just cover quickly some main factors contributing to what we know as a drop in enrollment, the 3-year regular ed enrollment summary, and individual schools that are listed on here. Just a reminder there, this is a regular ed summary. We, of course, have numbers. If you look at all numbers for the district, for all programs, those are programs that we certainly count, and they count at the state level, but most of the time when people are asking me for reports, they're talking about regular ed in the schools. And so, because the total number will be somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 more than this total. So quickly, what are the main factors contributing to a drop in enrollment? Things that we've talked about quite often. Birth rate, specifically this year, the COVID year kinder group, which was significantly down, the birth rate of COVID year. We know we have more charters in Granite District than any other district in the state. And in fact, I'll mention a few of these that are very specific to Granite and maybe have an outsized impact on our enrollment. Online schools, of course, the Utah Fits All, quote, scholarship monies program. The last two are big and I think very specific to our district. The demographics of our district are, in fact, older, combined with escalating housing costs. Those two factors are significant for our district as a more mature in age district. And of course, one thing that's impacted us significantly this year are our combination of newcomer, refugee, and immigrant population that is down by just over 900 students this year. That's a significant drop just in that category. And so that's one reason we went from closer to what was expected, around a 3 to 3.5%, up to 4.5+% was in that group. I think some good news there, one piece of silver lining in that number is that we believe, like in my conversations with counterparts around the country, that many of those students are still here in the state. They have not moved away, but they're choosing for different reasons to not attend right now. So we're hopeful that many of those will come back. The 3-year enrollment summary, as you can see there, the past from, these are October 1 numbers. That's kind of the official date for around the state, and the October 1, 23, 24, and 25 comparisons, and how much we've been down just over the last couple of years. I'll stop board as always if you see something you want to discuss. I wanted to make note, I always list every school here, but I think this year's, even more than most years, we had so many changes in last year between, you can see the arrows pointing to the schools that have been impacted by either reconfiguration, a boundary change, a special program change, or a school closure just in the last year to 2 years. Those are typically the ones that have the most dramatic changes one way or the other, and they do skew our numbers for this year especially. But again, you can see what those numbers are. I have that last column on the right for those that are more than 5% one way or the other. There are a lot of red numbers there, but again, you really have to stop and look at each one and understand how each has been impacted over the last several years. And finally, of course, just a 20-year snapshot. This is the bar graph that you see often, and of course, we are continuing this downward trend, and we're watching this closely. I know that the latest Kim C. Gardner Policy Institute demographic information came out today, I think was released even today, with some updates to state demographics. We're watching that closely. I don't think it's changed dramatically for us, but I have another appointment with some of the representatives from that group to look at some things even closer for our district, and so we're eager to talk to them and get even more detailed information. Do you have any questions?
I have one quick one, hopefully. You mentioned a main factor are UFA scholarships, and you mentioned that in your next presentation too, so I just wanted to ask, is that just an assumption, albeit a reasonable one? Is it an assumption, or do we have data on that?
I don't have hard numbers. It's based mostly on a comparison with other districts and what I'm talking for other districts. When students leave the district, whether that's some sort of home school, and sometimes that fits in that same category with the Utah Fits All, they're supposed to sign an affidavit. That does not always happen, and we know that, and so that number is hard, but it's a factor. I don't think it's the factor. It's just lumped in typically with the charter school numbers.
I would just simply add, when the initial program was rolled out, there was an estimate that about 245 kids had applied from Granite School District boundaries. So it's not a significant amount. We've not seen, as Steve has indicated, an outsized amount of increases. We actually haven't seen increases really very much at all in our homeschool affidavits. And so it's safe probably to assume that that's not an outsized number. And by and large, those recipients or those applicants were already homeschooling in the first place, if that makes sense. But it's clearly a factor and will be a factor moving forward, so we wanted to include it.
Yeah, I was just wondering if we actually had a way to gather data on it. We don't. Sounds like so. One related question, and this is a follow-up for later, just if we've had any follow-up on the approved vendor for UFA conversation.
Say that again, the
approved vendor, like being an approved vendor for UFA.
Oh, correct. So we actually looked at the possibilities of becoming an approved vendor under Utah Fits All. And frankly, I don't know if this was intentional or not. It's very difficult and onerous for us to do so. And so looking at the constraints and the hoops we'd have to jump through, I'm looking at Todd kind of peripherally, we didn't feel like it was prudent to move forward given this small amount of individuals who are participating. Is that safe to say, Todd?
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay. We're gonna go ahead and move on. This is our, Steve is still in the hot seat. Population Analysis Committee, as he pulls this up, this is the first reading for the recommendation on the PAC study.
So again, to make it official, Board President, Vice President, Board members, Superintendent, Superintendency, and to my many, if not fans, at least followers behind me here tonight. I'm glad they're here. I came prepared, of course, to discuss tonight, to present the PAC's recommendation as part of a public hearing and first reading. I also understand, that Board President, that you have a statement first before I present. Anything else?
Could you just remind the board with respect, PAC met last Wednesday, I want to believe, for the final meeting. Was there any adjustment to the PAC's recommendation at this time?
No, Superintendent, there was not an adjustment at this time. So the recommendation remains as it has been. I don't know if you want me to review that quickly or just to yield the floor back to Board President.
I think we're all familiar with the recommendation, if that's okay. Our board members, we have spent many, many, many hours reading emails, attending meetings, talking to people, and asking questions, and having conversations with the board. We have serious concerns about the study. I want to be clear. We have complete confidence in the PAC and the process that they have followed this year, as they have other years. However, there are extenuating circumstances in regards to this particular study. We are also aware of a potential legislation that could impact our district and it makes us hesitant. As such, I have asked Superintendent Horsley to give us an alternative to what we have before us. So I'm going to turn the time over to Superintendent Horsley.
See if this loads up here really quick. All right, we're counting down, Luke. There, I see it behind me, so that will be more than sufficient. Thanks, Luke. Thank you, Board President and members of the board. At the request of the board, I do want to also reiterate our appreciation to the Population Analysis Committee and the work that they've done. They've carried out the study as they typically do, with earnestness and a desire to improve outcomes for kids. And I want to reiterate that everybody in front of me and everybody behind me, I believe, has the same goal. and that is to improve outcomes for our kids and make sure that our kids have everything that they need to be successful. That being said, you have asked me to come up with some potential alternatives to the current recommendation. And in consultation with Director Hogan and members of my leadership team, I'm presenting that information to you now. So for the first time, as I've indicated on this slide, we have a rather unique study. We've not studied an area with such a significant amount of open enrollment permitting. And we just got an update on that data again with the October 1 numbers. And currently we have an outsized amount of families in this particular area who special permit outside of their boundary school. And our typical process for analyzing data is based on how many students are attending their neighborhood school in boundary, right? And there's some nuances with this particular study and recommendation. So there have also been some questions, obviously, about our vision and for our programs, particularly ALC and DLI. And we obviously have different types of competition that are coming into the marketplace that are causing us pause. We have never been in a situation where we're facing the prospect of closing high-performing schools, and that in and of itself is very challenging and difficult. So, as we've indicated before and previously, each study's fairly unique. They all take on a unique personality. Again, our vision with respect to the ALC and DLI continue to evolve. And more so recently, we want to make sure that those programs are actually meeting the needs of our families. And so as we looked at potential consolidation, we actually took a step back after listening to our families and going, we need to evaluate this a little bit further and understand this a little bit better. Additionally, we all know, based on last year's recommendations and the pilot program of Dos Mundos, we are stepping away from the DLI traditional state recommended model and looking at alternative ways of providing DLI education that will help us better meet the needs of our families and don't impact our traditional programs the way the current state model does. Additionally, with respect to how Morningside hosts those programs along with a traditional program, there is a domino effect with this one school that impacts and reaches out to just about every other community in the Area 5 study. So we've never had one school that has such, again, an outsized impact and dominoes that could potentially impact so many other locations. Usually when we're looking at a closure situation, we're going, okay, we can merge these two school locations and it's not going to have that much of an impact on surrounding schools. And we're always looking to be the least impactful and disruptive to our students and families, knowing the impact of these challenges and these circumstances. So that is a particular nuance of concern that I heard from the board and that we've heard as well from our community members. So we do have a recommendation that has been indicated, has left board members wondering if we need more than our typical extensive process that we've utilized in the past that has worked well for us. We, in order to be able to best identify the solutions that will meet the needs of our students and our families. So with respect to that, I've listed a few of those here. You mentioned outstanding legislation that we became aware of roughly 6 weeks ago. We've had opportunities to communicate with the legislators on this piece of legislation. But if this legislation proceeds, it could have a significant impact on how we make these decisions moving forward and whether we want to pursue school closures or not. There's some budgetary considerations with respect to this particular impact. Perceptions, I said this at a Morningside meeting a few weeks ago and also an Eastwood meeting. I have grave concerns when there's a perception that there's some sort of wrongdoing or undue influence on our process. And I want our community to have confidence in our decisions and our decision making and our process. I think that's really critical, especially as agents that represent the community or are here to support the community. We want people to have confidence in what we're doing and why we're making the decisions we're making. Last but not least, and there are certainly other considerations of this, we're trying to solve a problem that, frankly, this community does not feel is a problem. And we could continue to show data about split classes and other challenges with supporting teachers. But again, we have a situation where we're faced with closing high-performing schools because we're not seeing those small school concerns having that outsized impact on this particular community. That's not to say that won't happen in the future, but that is not the case at this current time. And so trying to convince people that there's actually a problem with declining enrollment and it's not just a Granite School District problem has proved to be quite challenging. And I can see from our families' perspectives that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. As such, you have asked me to provide you with some additional alternatives to take into consideration as part of the study this evening. So your current options, there are more options than this, but this is what is my understanding that the board would like to take into consideration. We do have our current recommendation or some iteration of that recommendation right now, which is an Eastwood merger with the Oak Ridge community to create a new school in the Cove. And then closing the traditional program at Morningside and shifting those families while continuing to study further placement of the DLI and the ALC program. That is the current recommendation that PAC has adopted at this time and has not been altered. Number two could be an extension of the study with the hiring of an independent outside consultant. And yeah, totally spelled that wrong in trying to update that slide. How embarrassing. I do know how to spell consultant. There's a T on the end. This could be done to further the entirety of the study in light of some of these very unique challenges specific to this community that we have not experienced in other places. We have a highly engaged community, and that is a great thing. That's not a problem. And when they ask questions, we need to be able to answer those questions and again, inspire confidence. And again, any perception of undue influence is inappropriate, but perception's reality. And we have to face the realities that if we want to proceed with this community in confidence and with their trust, then we need to work to enhance this process further to allow some independence to the recommendations, and an outside consultant could possibly do that for us. So this could be an extension of that study. I'll explain that a little bit further with a consultant. And lastly, a potential option to suspend the study indefinitely, given the ongoing challenges with the legislature.
We appreciate
some
your
unknowns with
enthusiasm,
respect
but
to
we
our-
need to get our work done, so please let us finish with what we're doing.
So we could potentially work through that, given the other challenges that we're faced with at this time that were unknown when the study was begun. So let me expand on option two. This would extend the portion of the current study through December of 2026. So we would work through our regular cycle. We've all seen the flow chart that Steve knows word for word. But in this case, we would hire an outside consultant to run that process. To find some way to potentially engage stakeholders in a meaningful way. That would be all of our stakeholders, including our community leaders and our patrons themselves. They would then review and make recommendations on that area in its entirety. We would expect that consultant to provide, again, credible stakeholder feedback and a formal report, which we have received reports from outside consultants before, so something comparable to what we've received from MGT in terms of and Davis Demographics in terms of the future decline in enrollment, something comparable in terms of those recommendations themselves. So this would, again, allow the remainder of our process to be completed. If that was done by August of 2026, we would then be able to proceed with the rest of that study and that community engagement directly with the board at that time, based on whatever that recommendation is. We would want to ensure, again, to maintain the fact that we want our community to have confidence in this, that there would be complete independence from the board and district staff. So there would be designated staff here at the district that could provide information to the consultant, and I would work with them on the scope of work to make sure that they were fulfilling the request of the board, if that is the direction the board would like to go. With respect to that, there are some pros and there are some cons, and we want to be very transparent. I have not put a comprehensive list. These are some of the things that we identified as potential challenges and advantages to extending the study in any way, shape, or form. Again, coming back to having confidence from our patrons and the public in that final recommendation with an independent evaluation and process. Again, making sure that would obviously follow through with our district's policy and state law in terms of how we engage with our stakeholders. This would, again, still allow us to follow our process and meeting the terms of those legal obligations. And again, from what I've heard from board members and concerns from the community, this would potentially provide a more comprehensive recommendation. And what I mean by that is, and I've expressed in other meetings to the public, when it's called into question whether this current recommendation meets the criteria of our stated goals of the study. And the answer to the public at that time is no. If we were going to meet all the goals of our policy and of the study itself, we would need to look at additional school closures. So I'm telling you as the board and with the public behind me that there is no way that a consultant is going to come and look at this information without that qualitative feature that we try to put into our process, that we're not going to be looking at and considering a recommendation with potentially 3 to 4 school closures based on the numbers and information we've been provided for by our independent demographer. Now, that makes me a little bit leery because that extends the timeline and that final resolution, which I believe we have put this community, anytime we go through a study, it's a significant challenge for the community. And based on the numbers of individuals behind me, there's a certain amount of uncertainty about what the board will choose to do tonight based on the current recommendation. So opening up this study again with a private consultant, an independent consultant, just starts that process all over again. And frankly, it puts all these schools and communities potentially at risk for closure, which I just want to be very frank and open about. If we're looking at an independent consultant and looking at what our options are long-term, again, they're going to be opening this process up again from the start like we did last January and February with looking at every option under the sun. And that's what we'd want them to do. That's what we'd be paying them to do. That is a significant financial consideration. Back when we did the engineering studies for the bond, it was roughly $250,000 to pay for an independent engineering firm to analyze all 90 of our facilities at that time. I think the board is interested, based on the feedback you've given me, in something a little bit more comprehensive and something that actually might be able to sustain us potentially for a process that could go district-wide. School closures are difficult and challenging enough. I'm still surprised that Steve Hogan is with us right now, given the toll that's taken on him and other members of PAC. It is a time-consuming process, and I would much rather be spending our time focusing on improving instruction and other outcomes for kids. That being said, to get the type of recommendation that I think the board is looking for would require not just an update to that engineering piece, a review of the MGT data, and decline in the overall birth rate and other challenges that we're seeing. We'd also want to obviously have a comprehensive stakeholder feedback process that's tied to our current requirements in our policy and state law. So we're looking at $500,000, $1 million for potentially a year-long process to be able to engage in that type of work. So I have some concerns given our our recent budget challenges and the fact that we're looking at a $14 million budget shortfall due to funding changes at the state level over the next 2 years and the challenges we already faced this year.
Can I clarify? I think you were saying $500,000 to $1 million for an entire district study, or for just an
I
Area
think this
5
would just
study?
be for this area, given those other components that that members of the board have expressed to me they would like included.
Okay.
And frankly, from the feedback we've received from the community, right? So as such, I am providing the board, at their request, 2 potential options. One, to extend the study of Area 5 through the 2026 calendar year, or to suspend the study indefinitely. It is my personal belief that given the challenges of this particular study and the way that it was undertaken through no fault of anybody, there have been significant nuances and challenges that were not foreseen. And we have done a disservice unintentionally to this community. And I'm leery about putting them through that again so soon. Given the costs of hiring an outside consultant and some of the other challenges that we've already discussed, it would be my recommendation to the Board of Education to suspend the study indefinitely and look at a broader, down the road, a few years when our budget is a little more stable, potential district-wide evaluation with the engineering piece, with updated MGT data, with a comprehensive stakeholder feedback process that only an outside consultant can provide above and beyond what we have provided in the past. So with that, I'd be open to your questions.
To clarify, that means that when you say I move to, the motion being I move to suspend the study, I'm not making that motion, by the way. Just clarifying, to suspend the study indefinitely, it doesn't mean that we won't revisit this area. It doesn't mean that we're not going to come back and try to solve the problems that we're seeing. It just means that for now, until we get this corrected data and until we get a comprehensive study happened, that we are suspending it. Is that what you're indicating?
I'm glad you asked that question, and I'm looking behind me at our Eastwood friends in particular, and I consider them friends because we spent a lot of time together, right? With respect to that, yes, indefinitely down the road, I don't know when. We do need to see some stabilization in our funds to be able to expend potentially $1 million on a comprehensive piece like this. And again, if we're going to spend that much money, I would prefer that it be done district-wide so that we can take care of all those dominoes all at once at this point in time. We've already closed 10 schools, but given the uncertainty of some legislation that may impact whether we choose to close schools down the road or not, I just don't know what that conversation looks like. And so I don't want to put our families through that at this point in time. So I'm assuming that that would probably be 3 to 4 years out.
Are there any further questions?
Sorry, I didn't answer the part why I'm concerned about that. Again, there are pros and cons to this approach, but I'm looking at my Eastwood friends with sincerity. I don't know what your enrollment looks like next year, but I know that we've seen a decline in our equitable distribution of teaching resources. They were given 9 teachers this last year. If those declines continue to happen at the rate that we've seen them happen, I'm struggling to, I don't have the ability to inequitably provide teaching resources to reduce class size at one school that I can't provide at all the other schools in this area, let alone the remainder of the district. And I'm really concerned about class sizes at Oak Ridge, Eastwood, and in the Morningside traditional program, as well as some of the other schools in this area. We have an elementary school in the traditional track with only a handful of kids in the 2nd grade. Our enrollment projections, up to the start of the year, one of our elementaries only had 17 kids enroll in kindergarten. There is a legitimate issue here, but we need the community to work together with us, and we are willing to work with them to identify solutions to that. But invariably, that does look like school closures. The way the law is set up, the way that our resources are allocated to us. So how do we do that in a way that gets the community on board with the solutions
we're open to improving and enhancing that process. But again, we need a few years to do that.
Are there any further questions? Do we have a motion on the table?
I have a question first. You have public comment? My question is, do we have public comment?
Yes, we will have public comment.
So the procedure would be to make a motion, and then we can open up the public hearing, hear comments, close the public hearing, and the board can have discussion surrounding the motion and make a decision at that point in time. I apologize, I should have spelled that out. I do have that information here.
So we can make a motion now, or we can wait till after public comment for a motion.
I prefer to have the public hearing before we make any motions, but everyone has their own right to do what they want.
Okay, my apologies. So we do have the action item listed after the public hearing. So we will go ahead and do it the way that it is listed on our agenda. So under state law, this is considered a public hearing. Therefore, there is no limit to the number of patrons who can sign up to speak. In the interest of time and to maximize the amount of patrons' ability to participate, we'd like to ask that you keep your comments to a 2-minute limit for the comments that has been established. And we appreciate your cooperation as we work to have that happen. We do have, currently we have 41 people signed up for public comment. I would like to offer, in light of the recommendations that we have in front of us, if we get to you and you would like to waive your right to speak, we will certainly be happy to move on. But we also do want to make sure that everybody has the ability to sign up and speak. You are still able to sign up out in the hallway. We will go and grab that one. We're going to go ahead. First up on our list is Kimberly Evison. And then Robert Megren would be on deck. As Kimberly comes up, I'd like to read this statement as we move into public comment. I want to remind those who have signed up that they will have 2 minutes to speak and to be mindful of the timer right there that we have on Miss Michelle's desk. Speakers will be called in the order in which they signed up. The public may sign up to share public comment, just so you are aware, at graniteschools.org. Once your name is called, please come forward and state your name clearly into the microphone. All comments are recorded, so please speak clearly into the microphone. Once the timer expires, we ask that you promptly return to your seat. Comments may express support or dissent for regulatory actions. However, public comment is not the appropriate forum for personal complaints, for attacking or defaming individuals. Doing so is a direct violation of our policy, and you will be asked to stop immediately and return to your seat. If you have a personnel concern, please contact a member of the administration or put your concerns in writing to the board. Please remember that children may hear your comments. Be thoughtful and professional. Keep your comments appropriate for a general audience. The board is here to listen during public comment. We can't respond to you directly, but we will be having a discussion obviously after this. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Kimberly?
Great, thank you. My name is Kimberly Evison. I'm one of over 100 members of the Eastwood Community Advocacy Group. I'm a parent of 3 kids at Eastwood Elementary, and I'm a scientist. And I urge the board to please vote for option 3 to suspend the study indefinitely, because we care deeply about public education in science, technology, engineering, and math. The Utah STEM Action Center has designated Eastwood Elementary as one of only 4 Gold STEM elementary schools in the entire state of Utah, and the only such school in Area 5. Now, it's possible that Granite School District can convince the Utah STEM Center to transfer the Gold STEM designation from Eastwood to Oak Ridge, but you can't transfer the actual resources that Eastwood's teachers and staff have built over years at Eastwood Elementary. If there is a closure or a merge of Eastwood, we're going to lose the network of teachers and their dedication to STEM. Teachers at Eastwood typically spend 1 to 2 hours a week on STEM activities over what's already required by the curriculum. A closure or a merge of Eastwood will also result in the loss of Eastwood's STEM Fest, of Eastwood's STEM Fair, of Eastwood's STEAM Fest, and of the the school-wide dance program at Eastwood that combines science with the art of dance. Losing Eastwood by closing it or merging it will also result in loss of physical resources. We'll lose the STEM labs that have been established at Eastwood, and we'll lose physical equipment, including several 3D printers that have been purchased through their own funds or through group FundMe accounts of teachers that will go with the teachers. So please, if you care about STEM education, actual gold STEM education, and not just the STEM designation, please vote for option 3, suspend the study indefinitely and keep Eastwood open. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. Robert Negrin, you're up next, and on deck after Robert is Danielle Hausman. Robert, are you here?
Madam President, may I respectfully request that we have a couple of folks kind of in the queue so that we can be expeditious.
Apparently Robert is not here. Danielle, and then after Danielle, we have got Blake. I apologize if I say your name wrong, Benke, and then Jen Robinson, if you guys could come up and be ready to go.
Okay, all right, Danielle Hausman, and I just rewrote my whole comment. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to read my handwriting, so bear with me. Okay, so please choose to suspend indefinitely. Have faith in community councils and parents to keep our schools strong. This has been a huge wake-up call to parents. We need to deepen our involvement in being your allies in the success of the district. I'm embarrassed to admit that I've never been to a board meeting until this study. You'll probably be seeing me regular, sorry, but I promise to stop emailing you 1 to 2 times a week. So instead of investing $500,000 in an outside study, invest $500,000 in our schools. Invest in IVPYP, STEM. Let's survey the community and find out how to get families back from charters, voucher programs, and public schools. If we have taken all of the energy that we just put into helping you realize that this was wrong, I think every single one of our Area 5 schools would be shining right now. I can promise you that if we suspend indefinitely, we parents will not disappear. We'll make another analysis portal, whatever you need. Let's be successful together.
Thank you, Danielle. Blake, and then we have Jen, and then Nastasia. Did I say that right?
My name is Blake Benke. Good evening. I'm a proud parent of 2 Upland Elementary students, soon to be a 3rd, who's headed that way next fall. I'm here to voice my support for our school. I know we were not one of the schools directly impacted by the recommendation, but we care very much about this study. And while we appreciate the acknowledgement of the district tonight that there were issues and complexities in the study, we also acknowledge that those enrollment figures that we saw earlier as part of the regular annual report are real, and that there are real issues that are impacting all of our schools, not just the 2 that were slated for potential closure or merger. For my family and for many others, Upland is more than just a school, it's a community. It's neighborhood feel, and our incredible teachers have created a nurturing and supportive environment where our children are excited to learn and to grow. Our location provides a unique advantage. We have junior high and Wasatch Junior High and Skyline High School students that regularly come down and participate in our classrooms as math buddies or even as interns. Their older siblings come and pick up our students after school. And one of the most remarkable things about Upland is our thriving special education program. We have multiple classrooms and talented, specially trained educators who invest and do an incredible job with our students who have unique needs. This program is an invaluable asset to our community and a testament that our district's commitment to inclusive education. Our community has serious concerns about bringing another special program like ALC or DLI to Upland, as we feel another specific program could negatively impact our administrators and the cohesiveness that makes our student community so special. We're sympathetic to the enormous emotional toll that the PAC study has had on all those involved, all those here tonight, on the committee and on the board. We understand and agree with the board's stated goals to make our schools stronger and to right-size classrooms across our corner of the district. However, as acknowledged this evening, the current recommendation is not appropriately addressing the unique factors at play in the Area 5 study. We appreciate your continued thoughtfulness on this issue and encourage you to evaluate the options, but recognize that real action will be needed as well. Thank you.
We have Jen Robinson, and then Nastasia and Vanessa.
Good evening, I'm Jen Robinson, a Morningside parent of 2 children with a third to join in a couple of years. On November 14th, Granite School's official Instagram account posted videos advertising open enrollment, encouraging out-of-bounds and out-of-district families to join. Interestingly, they featured two schools currently a part of this boundary study, one of Superintendent Horsley at Upland Terrace, and then a reposted Cottonwood Elementary video. This reveals a key district priority, attracting students from beyond boundaries. Based on PAC data, the Area 5 school leading these metrics with the second highest out-of-district enrollment, highest out-of-bounds enrollment, and more than 90% utilization is one proposed for closure as a neighborhood boundary school. In my marketing role, when an ad performs well, I don't tell my boss, this brought in more customers than others at reasonable cost, but the copy wasn't perfect, so let's pull it. That doesn't make sense. When something works, we do more of it. We optimize and invest in it because we know it delivers strong returns. Granite District has a duty to ensure schools can maintain healthy populations long-term. Yet instead of replicating schools like Morningside Success, we're closing the only Area 5 school with organic enrollment growth year over year. Other schools with positive trajectories needed closures to boost population. Morningside stands in a category of its own. It's held steady during Area 5's general decline. Parents across the valley choose Morningside over their boundary and district schools. These families could choose charter or private schools, but they do what it takes to be at Morningside. Its programming is a key differentiator. The PAC's task is daunting, but it's more complex when using a rote lens of matching Area 5 schools to district-wide criteria. I appreciate the recommendation to take a more strategic approach for an area with unique challenges. I urge the board to suspend the study until it can do so in a comprehensive way that ensures the viability of Area 5 schools for years to come. Let's revisit Area 5 with a comprehensive study considering leading success indicators, including the metrics the district prioritizes, like out-of-boundary and out-of-district enrollment. Let's do more of what works, attracts families, and creates the stability that our children deserve. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. We have Nastasia, and then Vanessa and Natalie is after that. Vanessa Larson, and then Natalie Teague.
My name is Nastasia Mangone, and I am an Eastwood parent, Eastwood alumna, and a member of the Eastwood Community Advocacy Group. I had something completely different prepared, but I'm rolling with the punches. Across Utah, communities are confronting a growing question: will we treat public schools as cost centers or as civic anchors? Declining enrollment, aging facilities, and shifting budgets are testing the values that have long defined our state's commitment to education. The Granite School District now finds itself at the center of that test. The board is now faced with a decision that extends far beyond one neighborhood, a choice that could dismantle a thriving model of success and send ripples through communities for generations. And what's at stake is not just the future of one school, but the direction of public education in Utah. I would urge that you guys also choose option 3. But Eastwood's story is not a story of decline. It's a story of excellence, resilience, and a community that refuses to give up. Eastwood is not just a building, it's a promise that public education can both be exceptional and deeply human. Like many districts statewide, we are also facing declining enrollment, aging facilities, and increased pressure to do more with less. Our state's future depends on whether we preserve places that connect us, the schools where children first learn what community means. When one thriving school is sacrificed in the name of efficiency, every community loses a piece of that shared trust. We ask Granite to listen not to the noise of the numbers, but to the voices of the families, educators, and children who live this every day. To see what makes Eastwood extraordinary is not something that can be replicated elsewhere. It's a spirit rooted in service, pride, and love. Eastwood doesn't need rescuing, it needs recognition, respect, and a future. because defending Eastwood isn't just about saving a building, it's about protecting the promise that great public schools still exist in Utah and that they can still bring a community together over something bigger than itself.
Thank you, Anastasia.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We have Vanessa, and then Natalie's after Vanessa, and then Sarah Safavi.
I've been waiting a long time for this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to us. My name is Vanessa Larson. I am a proud parent of a Morningside traditional graduate and a current traditional third grader. My family does not see this as a PAC recommendation. This was prior. Rather as a sign/push to start exploring other options. Charter and private schools are still being discussed in our home, although that is not our wish. The amount of time I have spent at meetings and advocating for my school and the community in which it resides felt fruitless. I've attended nearly every public meeting and meetings with the district, in addition to emails to board members. I struggle to understand the idea that closing Morningside is the right choice. Morningside does not look like other schools and should not be graded like other schools. We have 3 very successful tracks that need each other and work cohesively together. The parents of Morningside are here to protect their community school and fight for its continued success and success of the community at large. As for the subset of traditional parents, we felt we were left out of the process. This current recommendation literally tears our community apart. Kids who live on the same street will go to different schools. Kids who eat lunch and play together at recess will no longer see each other. Yes, we live in the same neighborhood, but Morningside is the heart of our community. Can Granite School District continue to make decisions like this and survive? Charter and private schools are taking our students each year, and now I understand why. The metric being repeated is that in-boundary enrollment is low and an indicator of declining enrollment. How can you say that when there is a school down the street that was $200 million that is made up of 40% of out-of-boundary kids? Why is it okay for the high school and not the elementary? The current recommendation does not reflect the views or wishes of Morningside parents, its students, and the greater community. Closing Morningside is today's Band-Aid solution to the gaping wound. It will not solve the problems we are facing. We've done our job, we've shown the success of our students, we've shown community support, and we've shown you the data-driven results. We are not recommending other schools to close. We are asking to proceed as we are. Please let us continue to shine and show what success can look like in an unconventional way. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. Natalie Tingy is next, and then we have Sarah Savavi and Marianne Davies after that.
Hello, my name is Natalie Tingy. I'm a parent at Morningside. I'm currently serving as PTA president this year there as well. And just like so many people in this building, I love our school. Unpopular opinion probably in this room, but from the beginning, I have supported the need for a boundary study in our area. I also accepted early on that if a strong plan required my own school to close, I would need to support that decision. I do not believe we can say it's okay to change other schools so long as you leave mine untouched. I hoped for a plan that would benefit all of our students and was solid enough that this board wouldn't have to revisit these issues again for many years. When the PAC's recommendation was released, my frustration was not about my school being affected. It was that these seismic changes were being made without solving problems and with every sign that this would need to be repeated again in the near future. The PAC's recommendation for Morningside was simply not a good plan. It's a plan that people in similar roles struggle to make sense of. With this proposal, many in our schools will be left with suboptimal numbers. It puts both Churchill and Skyline at risk and isolates traditional and special programs away from each other, requiring families to choose one child's needs over another. I come here tonight feeling torn. On one hand, this process has gone on far too long. The uncertainty has taken a heavy toll on our teachers and staff. Delay in our schools remains stuck in limbo, unable to retain students and staff, stabilize, or move forward. That level of stagnation harms our students. On the other hand, I believe you shouldn't advance a bad plan simply because reversing course would be uncomfortable. The consequences of a poor boundary decision are long-lasting and can exacerbate the problems that brought you here in the first place. This also harms our students. I must say, I do not feel that anyone up here is the villain. I know everyone is hoping the best and trying to do the best for our students. But I need you to understand that this study has set us back, not moved us forward. You have heard us for seemingly nothing. This study has caused rifts between communities and even within our own buildings. While the choices have been made and damage done in our area, I urge our board to develop a stronger decision-making process for the future, because the failure to design a strong, foresighted plan impacts students long after your vote. Thank you.
Sarah Savavi's next, Marianne Davies, and Catherine Street after.
Hi, thank you for your time tonight and for reconsidering the PAC's recommendation. We all love our schools. These are the top public schools in the state. All of them are highly ranked and loved. It's clear Granite is up against many challenges.
Sorry, we.
Okay, I thought I was coming from right here for a second. Okay.
Can you get a little bit closer to the microphone?
Yes.
I know
yes.
it's not
No,
made
it's okay.
for tall people.
It's okay. I hope that when making these hard choices, that the bigger picture is in mind, and you can take the time to note what is working here and what should be supported and potentially expanded to other schools. Schools that take care of their neighborhood students and attract out-of-boundary students should be learned from. I'm concerned the PAC study and recommendations are not solving the actual problems for the area. While virtually nothing is resolved for the north side of Area 5, the south end is simply being dominoed into Cottonwood. The school the MGT study last year showed to have the steepest decline in the entire district over the next 5 years, a 27.5% decline. Even after the recommendations, the PTA of Cottonwood has pled for even more students be moved into their school by expanding the boundary further north. 100 kids from Howard Driggs, they admit, will do nothing to fix their teacher-student ratios. The steep decline that is predicted for Cottonwood in the next 5 years has not been mentioned at all. Where are the pros and cons of these recommendations? The district and PAC have stated that part of the general decline of students in this area is due to the high cost of living. The recommendation to close the two schools, Morningside and Eastwood, with the average lowest home price in the area is pretty wild. This is anecdotal, but I live 1 block south of Morningside. When we moved in 5 years ago, we were surrounded by retirees, all people that had lived in their homes for 35 plus years. Slowly, they are downsizing or passing away, and 2 of the 6 neighbors that we live between have turned over, the homes have turned over to young families. There are still many of these older people in this neighborhood. These are 2,000 square foot homes built in the 1950s, homes more young families would be able to afford. Please consider the demographics and likelihood of where the turnover is going to be in this area, and question the validity of judging a school by its in-boundary enrollment or a single combined class. Morningside is currently a thriving school, attracting the most out-of-boundary students, something Granite is currently supporting other schools trying to do. The votes you take should be to stabilize this area, create positive outcomes for students and teachers, and be part of a solid 5 to 10-year plan. Parents could accept tough changes if the current reality and future of the whole area was being considered. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have Marianne Davies next. Catherine Street is after, and then Logan Franco.
Yes, thank you for having us tonight, and thank you for the opportunity to talk. I just want to start with a few comments about Morningside. So back in March, Granite officials presented about the benefits of consolidation. That consolidation would result in schools with an average of 550 students, more educational choices for different learning styles, more inclusion opportunities, and schools that are appropriately sized for programs. This describes Morningside. But since the beginning, the PAC has wanted to close our school, but no one has been able to explain to me how closing Morningside helps the problem of Eastside population decline. We have been told our traditional kids aren't served, but you didn't talk with traditional parents through the planning process. Neighborhood kids aren't served, but closing the schools off to different neighborhood children also alienates them. Does this also mean that out-of-boundary children like mine aren't valued by the district, even after you foreclosed my daughter's opportunity for a neighborhood school with the last round of closures? By choosing Morningside, you are eliminating the only Area 5 school that meets a majority of metrics you sent out. We have been told the PAC has been looking at the data that led to this decision, but that data hasn't been shown to us. Arbitrarily closing our school to reopen only as a magnet creates another half-empty Area 5 school that will eventually be shut down. I realize that the recommendation tonight may be to move forward with a different plan. And perhaps a plan that will suspend the study and look at a broader plan for the district. I would really encourage the board to look at upstream solutions. This is a problem that's not just unique to Utah, not even unique to our nation. We have seen these problems of school closures and populations decline across, all other nations in Europe and Asia. I think closures will probably have to happen. I can absolutely accept that. I think at the end of the day, if parents can understand why a closure is being made and the overall vision you have for the kids, that we will accept a hard truth over a dressed up lie. So, not to imply anyone here is lying. That's a phrase that my mom always likes to say, so you have to stick with the good ones. But I do really believe in Granite School District. I think you've created many, many strong students and wonderful communities, and I encourage you to continue in that tradition and, work with us as a community to help create a vision that will equitably serve our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Logan?
Catherine Street.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was Marianne. My apologies. Catherine. And then we have Logan, and then we have Chelsea.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Street, and I have a 3rd grade traditional track student at Morningside. I am asking the board to please preserve Morningside's traditional track program. The PAC's recommendation runs counter to what we so often hear from the district, the importance of keeping neighborhoods together. With this recommendation, many children in the ALC and DLI programs will stay at Morningside, while traditional track students like my son who live in the neighborhood are being displaced. This will go against Granite's values of supporting neighborhood schools and keeping neighborhoods together. Morningside's traditional learners, like my son, are thriving, as demonstrated through Morningside's USBE report card and from our recent traditional parent survey, in which 91% of traditional families say their children's educational needs are being met, and 88% saying the 3-track structure has improved their child's experience. Morningside has Area 5's strongest resource and special education team. Dismantling it will cause harm to children. Furthermore, Morningside's grade level educator teams are strong with 4 classes per grade. Research shows that belonging improves academic success, mobility harms outcomes, and school stability builds strong communities. There is a large turnover after ALC testing in 2nd grade with a smooth transition into the traditional track, letting students stay with their friends and keep their academic stability. But with the PAC's recommendation, that option disappears, leaving kids to face embarrassment and emotional stress instead. Furthermore, if children feel that the DLI or ALC program is no longer a good fit, they remain at Morningside and are welcomed into the traditional track. As a parent of a recent Morningside graduate who attended the ALC program, I want to advocate for families with children in multiple tracks. Families do not care about staggered start times. They care about keeping siblings together with 1 PTA, 1 SEP conference, 1 Halloween parade. I urge you to choose the option that keeps our children, our families, and our neighborhood together. Thank you.
Catherine. All right, next up we have Logan Franco.
Hi, my name's Logan Franco. Given the recent changes here, I would like to waive my time, if that's okay. My daughter has prepared something that she has signed up for later. Given that she's number 37, is it okay if she takes my spot?
For sure.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is May Franco, and I'm a 5th grader at Eastwood Elementary. I'm here tonight to talk about why you shouldn't close Eastwood. As a 5th grader, a member of student council, and a leader in my school, I want to use my voice to speak for all the kids who are too little to be here tonight and who haven't had the opportunity to experience Eastwood the way I and all the other 5th graders have. At our school, we have a program where 5th graders get kindergarten buddies. We do fun activities with our buddies, like puppet shows and crafts. This teaches the 5th graders to help support the younger kids, and it helps the kindergartners adjust to a new school. They get really excited to see us in the lunchroom and in the hall. This program helps build a really great community and creates special relationships between grades. It's something that makes Eastwood really special. It makes me sad to think that my kindergarten buddy, Daisy, won't get to play Gimkit in Miss Carlson's class, take care of a tarantula in Miss Whipple's class, or have an epic holiday party in Miss Reed's class. My brother, Leo, in 2nd grade, won't have the chance to make a class yearbook with Miss Galbux or be on student council with Miss Flitton. Most importantly, they would never get to experience being a 5th grader at Eastwood who gets to show the same care to a kindergartner that was once shown to them. Eastwood is a wonderful place where kids learn, grow, and make great memories. Please vote no to closing Eastwood, because closing it would take away all these awesome things from my community. Thank you.
Thank you, May. Got Chelsea Gauthier up, and then Tara Thomas on the floor, and Mary Brooks Townsend after that.
Yes. If it's all right, we have some letters from 2 mayors of Mill Creek and of Immigration Canyon, as well as a letter from a local daycare in Salt Lake City. In light of the recent changes, I am not going to read my original comment. Thank you for hearing our concerns. My name is Chelsea, and I'm the parent of a 1st grader at Eastwood and a preschooler in Salt Lake City. We urge you respectively to suspend the study indefinitely. Sherry Jackson was just sworn in about a week ago, and I'm going to read quickly a letter that she submitted for us. I'm writing to express my strong support for keeping Eastwood Elementary School open in Mill Creek and for preserving neighborhood schools throughout the Granite School District. Eastwood Elementary is far more than a school. It is a vital community anchor that promotes stability, connection, and a sense of belonging for families all across Mill Creek. For years, Eastwood has consistently ranked among Utah's top elementary schools, placing the top 10 according to the U.S. News & World Report. Its outstanding academic reputation, combined with convenient freeway access, has made it a popular choice for families both within and outside of its boundaries. District officials have stated that the long-term health of Churchill Junior High and Skyline High School feeder systems depends on attracting out-of-boundary students. Closing Eastwood would remove a proven pathway for those students to enter the Skyline network at the elementary level, potentially weakening the entire feeder pattern. As mayor of Mill Creek, I'm deeply concerned about the broader impact a closure would have on our community. Neighborhood schools serve as an essential gathering places that bring families together and strengthen societal ties. When schools are close to home, parents can more easily volunteer, attend events, and stay engaged in their children's education. Eastwood embodies these values through its exceptional staff, inclusive culture, and decades-long commitment to student success. Decisions about school closures have lasting consequences for both education and community vitality.
Thank you, Chelsea. We have the letter and we can finish reading it. We appreciate your time. Tara Thomas is next, and then Mary Brooke Townsend, and after Mary Brooke is Naomi Kissen.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Tara Thomas, and I'm a parent, community advocacy member, and community council member at Eastwood. I participated in the community council subcommittee meetings, and I agree that there were significant problems with the way the PAC study was conducted. I have voiced these concerns multiple times, and I appreciate the way Superintendent Horsley acknowledged them, and I'm asking you to vote to suspend this study indefinitely. Eastwood is a diverse school that not only delivers strong academic performance, but also fosters the social emotional health of our youngest learners. It is a place where all students flourish and feel at home. Closing Eastwood would devastate our community, and it runs counter to the goals you've set as a district. Please don't prioritize closures over students. Recognize the many wonderful aspects of Eastwood, the dedication of our teachers and staff, and the vibrant, supportive community of students and families who make this school thrive. Please support our school by actively promoting the strengths that make Eastwood exceptional. We are small but mighty, and we would welcome the opportunity to continue doing what we do best, educating students from across the district. With a robust marketing plan, we can bring in the out-of-district students the district is seeking. I urge you to vote to suspend the study indefinitely.
Thank you, Tara. Mary Brooke Townsend, and then Naomi Kissen. After that is Charlie Thomas.
My name is Mary Brooke Townsend. I'm a member of the Eastwood Community Advocacy Group, and I appreciate the board requesting alternatives to the PAC proposal. I want to go through some data that was presented at the October 21st study session that needs to be corrected. If there was a merger between Eastwood and Oak Ridge, instead of an FTE from 19, it would actually be 18 teachers, which drastically affects class size. There would be 3 classes of 32 students in each 5th grade and 2 kindergarten classes with 29 students. Furthermore, a slide states at that meeting, smaller schools do not generate enough soft money. Their entire budget is not enough for a 1.0 FTE. As a member of Eastwood's Community Council, I can inform you that this is just not accurate. This year, Eastwood had a total of over $94,000 in soft money, which would indeed be enough for a 1.0 FTE. In fact, Eastwood has used its soft money in the recent past to employ Mr. Misko full-time to teach STEM classes and enhance our Gold Certified program. Perhaps the most concerning assumption from those slides was that combining Eastwood and Oak Ridge would result in an averaged academic performance. Numerous academic studies completely disprove this. The results of the study, Longitudinal Effects on Student Mobility on 3 Dimensions of Elementary School Engagement, found that consequences of changing schools include lower math and reading scores, as well as an increased risk of behavior problems. The current recommendation displaces over 555 students, putting them at risk for lower test scores across the board. Moving quickly from estimates to reality, I collected data from recent school closures. At this point last year, Orchard Elementary was closed, moving students to Copper Hills, which currently has class sizes of 33, and it also has a split class. Similarly, Western Hills closure in 2024 resulted in sending students to Beehive Elementary, which currently has 2 split classes. Finally, teacher workload must be addressed.
Thank you, Mary Brooke.
Thank you.
Naomi is next. After Naomi, Charlie, and then Sarah Plummer.
Hi, my name is Naomi Keeson, and I'm an Eastwood parent. First of all, I wanted to thank you for hearing us and asking for other options. That really feels great. Also just wanted to thank you for the general opportunity to comment and for the outreach you've done. As has been previously stated, there is no requirement for you to have conducted many of the outreach options undertaken during the study. The requirements around school closure are procedural and mostly address notice and comment requirements, which is the topic of my comment tonight. Utah Code 53G4-402, which I'm sure you're familiar with, stipulates the requirements for notification of proposed school boundary changes or closures in subsection 24B. It states that before proceeding with these changes, a local school board shall, on or before 90 days before the day on which the local school board approves a school closure, or at least 30 days before the day on which the local school board approves a school boundary change, provide notice that the local school board is considering the closure of the boundary change to parents of the students enrolled in the school using the form of communication that the local school board regularly uses to communicate with parents, and also by mail using USPS to the parents at each known address. The board and the direct district's position seems to be that this requirement was met through the email and mailers that were sent in March of this year. Now, one could debate if a notification sent almost 300 days before the decision is in keeping with the spirit of this requirement, but let's move past that. Subsection 24BI states that before proceeding with this notification, the local school board must, at a local school board meeting, make and approve a motion to initiate the notification required under subsections BII through IV. Further, subsection 24D states that a motion made under subsection 24B shall name each school under consideration for closure in a separate motion. So, I have reviewed all of the meeting minutes from board meetings held in 2025, and I cannot find where the board made and approved motions consistent with the requirements of state code. The 2 motions regarding the PAC study were February 4th, motion. I move that we proceed with an Area 5 study, for the PAC study next year for 2025, made by Julie Jackson. And September 2nd, I move to accept the recommendation. Oh, come on. I move to accept the recommendation. Okay.
I appreciate the work that you've obviously done with this. We're happy to have you email us the rest of your comments, because I think we're interested to hear them. So, thank you.
You should make sure you complied with state code before you move forward.
We're going to invite Charlie up next. And then Sarah is after Charlie, and then Andy May.
My name is Charlie Thomas. I'm an Eastwood Community Advocacy Group member, and I want to thank you for listening to the parents. A lot of parents at Eastwood have been very involved in this, so thank you for listening to us and hearing us out. We really appreciate it. Closing Eastwood would knock out the foundation of Skyline. By eliminating 2 of the 5 schools that feed into Churchill, we would be setting up Skyline for long-term decline. If Eastwood and Morningside close now, we'll be right back here in a few years facing the next step in the chain reaction, which is the potential closure of Churchill. We all understand enrollment patterns weaken the feeder system, and you weaken the school it supports. We have invested so much in strengthening Skyline. Let's now invest in the elementary schools which prop up Skyline. I also want to address the proposal to send Eastwood students to Oak Ridge and convert Oak Ridge into an IB school. It is not clear to me what community outreach was done to show that families want this. At the February 2nd board meeting where the PAC proposal was advanced, it was stated that teachers were overloaded and overwhelmed. In that same meeting, the principal of Oak Ridge was addressed directly with regards to overworked teachers. It doesn't make sense to add the burden of IB certification with all the additional work and cost it requires. I've researched IB, and there's no clear evidence that IB at the elementary level is effective, yet it is costly and labor-intensive to implement. My family chose Eastwood because we want a traditional school. I'm canceling a lot of the other things I was going to say because I really appreciate the new proposal by Superintendent Horsley. So I agree with that, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie. Sarah Plummer's next, then we have Andy May. We did have Tim Ballantine and Stephanie Ballantine on the schedule, but they got crossed off out there. I just want to double check that you are okay, if you're still here, to not come up. You're okay with that? Okay, thank you. So Sarah Harmon after that.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sarah Plummer, part of the Eastwood Advocacy Group. I first walked into Eastwood in 2013, nervous to register my boys at a new school. Secretary Vicki Burrow, a smile in her eyes, said, "We'll take care of you." She inspired me to be invested in my roles as a parent first, a volunteer, then on to PTA president and executive board member ever since. Also as a BHA and currently as a media clerk, and always a friend. I've watched Eagles from 22 zip codes set their sights high because of stellar faculty and staff who believe in and teach them. In 2019, Principal Hopp and I wrote our vision and mission statement. We are a welcoming community for all, where countless aspects of learning and growth are nurtured and celebrated. Tonight, I ask you to suspend this study based on Eastwood's growth percentiles. We're not only high performing, but we excel in helping our lower performing students grow. We're the only elementary in the district to house a shiny trophy in our office every year since the district began awarding one for the highest proficiency gain. Please suspend based on your recently described obligation as a board to be fiscally responsible and accountable. Taxpayers voted to rebuild Eastwood. I hope you suspend because we do have choices within our brick walls, and we are excited to add more and continue to grow. The morning after the PAC recommendation, there was no smiling on the playground. There were tears and real fears shared at school. But every day since, faculty and staff have shown up for these worried students with hope. We adore these kids, and we will continue to do so. Granite School Board, I thank you so much for your work. I invite you to join our vision, invest in our children now and in the future. Let's do both. It will be incredible. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. We've got Andy. Andy May. Oh.
Did you guys want to speak? Right?
Sorry, I did want to speak.
You did? Okay,
Yeah,
my apologies.
We didn't cross it off. I was unclear on it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm on phone with Senator Bluen. He called me and I had to take that call. So I think I have talked to all of you on phone. We have exchanged emails, we have exchanged texts. I am not a traditional parent. I'm the parent of, in the gifted program. But I do want to say that we at Morningside, we are so thoroughly integrated with each other, the three tracks, that it's like a table where if you take one leg off, the entire table is going to fall. So I do not know how this idea came into consideration that we remove the traditional track and keep the other two tracks. There is significant circulation between the tracks. after second grade, a lot of ALC students, they end up in the traditional program. Students who do not want to continue in the French program, they want to move to the traditional program. And then the students who are in the traditional program, a lot of them, they take the test, they take the gifted test, and then they end up in third grade or some other grade level in the gifted program. So if you take the traditional program away, this is going to cause a domino effect, and it will also peel students away from the French DLI and the gifted program. So that is a major concern. And then I want the district to live up to its promises and what it says. So on the one hand, the district is saying we are going to, the objective, the goal is to consolidate.
Thank you, Andy.
And on
We
the other
appreciate your
hand,
time.
they are deconsolidating
Thank you.
Morningside. So thank you.
My apologies, Tim. I
Thank-
misunderstood.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So Tim, and then we have Stephanie, and then Sarah Harmon.
Hello, my name is Tim Ballantyne, and I'm also a member of the Eastwood Community Advocacy Group. Vote to suspend the study because Eastwood is Granite's best option to compete. Many times throughout this process, Granite's leadership has brought up the goal of drawing in more out-of-district students. At the same time, they have said they cannot compete with charter schools, or they do not want to compete with charter schools. In order to bring students in from other areas and stop losing them from our own, we will have to compete. Eastwood is our best chance of competing in the area and drawing in additional students. Eastwood has the best location, hands down. Easy access right off the freeway is a huge factor for traveling parents. Even schools that are only several blocks into a neighborhood are much more impractical when factoring in morning traffic and congestion from other nearby schools. Eastwood is by far the most practical location for parents who commute to or from Salt Lake City, the university area, and Immigration Canyon. Eastwood is the only Granite School District area school that aftercare programs will travel to for student pickup. Losing this will hurt working families. Eastwood has the most attractive academic program in the area with the combination of our test scores, Gold STEM designation, and GT certified teachers. We outperform charter schools, including Canyon Rim, which is the closest elementary school to Eastwood and about to open a new campus. The combination of Eastwood's academic excellence, traditions, and unmatched location can be a draw if they are made known to prospective students and families. Closing Eastwood would be a massive mistake. Vote to suspend the study indefinitely because keeping Eastwood open is the winning option. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie is next. Stephanie Ballantyne? Stephanie Ballantyne?
Hi, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hearing our countless hours of research, brainstorming, meetings, lost sleep, emotional outbursts, and tears. When I spoke earlier, I urged you to help us compete, and I still make that same urge today. I'm overwhelmed with gratitude regarding this new motion to indefinitely suspend the Area 5 study. And in light of everything going on, this decision presented by Superintendent Horsley, thank you, demonstrates that this board listens to data and values its communities. By suspending indefinitely, we will choose to preserve a school that is not just a building, but a flagship of what public education should be, the heart of community. We'll secure the future of a Gold STEM school, a designation that represents the innovation and academic rigor families are looking for. We'll protect a school that consistently ranks in the top 2% in state proficiency. We've spent recent weeks discussing deficits and utilization. Tonight, I want to talk about the asset we'll retain. Eastwood is a destination school. Our data showed that nearly 75% of our families were willing to leave the district to find this level of education somewhere else. Unfortunately, we've lost many families as a result of this study. My daughter alone has lost 3 friends during these recent weeks. It's taken a toll. By keeping our schools open, you will retain remaining families, their trust, and investment in the Granite School District. We are here because we believe in public education. We believe the district can help us. We want to help you compete against charter and private schools, not by closing doors, but by highlighting the excellence that already exists within them.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank
We
you so
appreciate
much.
it. Harmon is next, and then we have Jennifer Tomchak and Colin Olson after.
I'm also a member of the parent advocacy group at Eastwood, and I just want to truly extend my appreciation to you all for listening, for hearing us, and for allowing me to speak tonight. So we've been told repeatedly that an early years IB program is coming to Area 5. My concern with that is the inequitable impact it would have district-wide. Research shows that nationwide, the IB program benefits families with higher socioeconomic advantages. The implications of Granite paying for an IB program in Area 5 would deepen inequities rather than working to correct them. Diverting resources and funding toward an expensive program that serves an already advantaged community when resources could be better used to serve schools with greater needs is not fiscally responsible or equitable way to spend our tax dollars. You just heard May describe our Kindergarten Buddies program that we have at Eastwood. It's extremely successful. And last week at the end of this superintendent town hall, I quickly introduced an idea that we have at Eastwood to create a sister school program, bridging a school from the east side with a school from the west side. We've already been putting that into practice with West Kearns Elementary. Principal Schaffen and Principal Graham are currently working on ways that we can create a partnership, field trips, pen pals, that sort of thing. And as a community, in just a week and a half, we have created and built and delivered 164 weekend student food kits to West Kearns Elementary. We see this being a partnership that will enrich both of our communities, something that will lay the groundwork, give our students a strong foundation for civic engagement, and thank you for your time.
Hi. Before I begin, we have a handout from the Eastwood Advocacy Group. Although many of us have pivoted with our comments tonight, we wanted to still give you the handout that we prepared, asking you to vote no on alternative one, so you would have the benefit of those comments as well. So my name is Jennifer Tomchak. I'm a member of the Eastwood Community Advocacy Group. I'm a parent of a former, current, and dare I hope future student of Eastwood. I'm grateful for the board for asking for alternatives to the PAC recommendation, and I'm grateful to Superintendent Horsley for giving us one. I want to speak in favor of option 3 to indefinitely suspend the study. As the district recently acknowledged, there are no safe walking routes from Eastwood to Oak Ridge. The proposed solution, courtesy stops for all Eastwood students in the Cove, is just not feasible. We would need at least 2 buses at a cost of $220,000 each. And we've already talked about why that would be basically offsetting any cost savings we get from combining the schools. I've already talked at previous board meetings about this. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. It's in the comments on page 3 and 4. There are also unfixable concerns about the length and safety of busing routes, especially for the Immigration Canyon kids. Some of those concerns exist even beyond this PAC study, and I hope we'll have a chance to address them later. But we don't need further study. What we need is for the district to use this engagement, these amazing parents, and the energy that they've brought to this PAC study to come up with a plan for expansion, to turn our amazing schools into schools that are competing with charter schools. Because this is not a problem of declining enrollment. Canyon Room is at capacity and turning away students every year. It's a problem of making sure that we are putting our best foot forward and showing what Granite School Districts can do. And this energy, we can do that.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Next we have Colin Olson, and then Sunita Jennings is after that, and Georgiana Petro-George. Is that right? Oh, thank you.
Thanks for being here and for hearing us. My name's Colin. My family lives right here in South Salt Lake. That makes us an out-of-boundary family. And with a current first grader and a 2027 kindergartner, I want to share why we chose Eastwood. Our home's not close enough to the Eastwood boundary, or not close to it, and here in South Salt Lake, we actually have a school within walking distance. As an urban planner, the idea of a walkable neighborhood school matters to me deeply, but Eastwood wasn't simply the next closest school. We chose it intentionally and have been willing to make the drive every morning because we believed it offered something essential for our son, a place where he would truly be seen and supported. That's us voting with our feet. Griffin's a boy who behaves well in group settings, but goes quiet and sometimes gets lost in his own thoughts. In some schools, a subdued student like him can easily disappear and get left behind. We needed a school where teachers would truly notice him. Eastwood's word-of-mouth reputation for being a school with high standards, genuine care, and successful outcomes has held true, and his progress has exceeded our hopes. Shout out to Mrs. Downing and Mrs. Whipple. We've seen Griffin grow and develop a real interest in learning. We'll always be grateful that we made the decision to bring him to Eastwood. But this story is not exclusive to us. Granite's own data reflects it. Eastwood has 69 approved out-of-boundary permits for this school year, compared to 21 at the school we've unfortunately been pitted against, Oak Ridge. 47% of Eastwood students come from outside the boundary, and when comparing student movement in and out, Eastwood gains 68 students. Families aren't choosing Eastwood for convenience, they're choosing it because it works for kids. Even as outsiders, our family has found real community and lasting friendships.
Thank you, Colin.
Thank you.
Sunita Jennings is next. Georgianne, and then Jonathan Mangione.
Hello. I'm also a member of the Eastwood Community Advocacy Group. I'm a parent of 2 Eastwood students, and I've lived in the neighborhood where the school is located for about a decade, since before we had children. This property has been a special place for my family, again, since before we had children. And like others, I've rewritten my comments in response to Superintendent Horsley's recommendation. First, thank you for hearing us. To the board, I urge you to suspend the study indefinitely. Let us get to work channeling all this energy, all this time that we have spent over the last 6 to 8 months to grow enrollment at our local school and support children with acute needs across the district. Until this study, I had no idea that enrollment was a challenge at our school or even the district. We are eager to ensure that Eastwood continues to be a high-performing school and a thriving school. But without the specter of closure, we can turn a whole bunch of this energy and passion towards supporting the district as a whole from west to east. Thank you.
Thank you. Georgianne, and then Jonathan, and I apologize if I said your last names wrong.
Hi, I'm Georgianne, a member of Eastwood Community Advocacy Group. I've changed my comments since the proposal to suspend the study. I was going to talk about the school desert that would be created if Eastwood does close, but now I am going to change my comments to second what Sunita and Jen have said about let's channel this energy that all the Eastwood parents and other parents have showed and up our enrollment and show you what Eastwood can do. Thank you, Superintendent Horsley, for listening to us. And again, I urge you to vote to suspend the PAC study indefinitely. Thank you very much.
Jonathan, and then Megan Medina and Larry Gelwick is up.
My daughter, Scarlett Cropper, is also signed up to speak. I'd like to give her my time slot, if that's okay.
Huh?
Hi, our names
Could you move the microphone down?
Hi, our names are Scarlett and Ellie. And we are 3rd grade students at Eastwood Elementary. Thank you for letting us share today. Eastwood is where I learned so many things, not just math and reading, but how to be a good friend and how to believe in myself. It's where I met my best friends and where teachers know us by our name and cheer us on every day. If Eastwood closes, it won't just mean going to a different building. It means leaving behind the place where we feel safe and where we belong. It means leaving behind the place we feel safe and where we belong. That means being separated from the friends we've grown up with since kindergarten. For kids, that's really hard because our school is a part of who we are. We've made memories here that we'll never forget, from recess games to class projects to school plays. We want to keep making those memories together, not apart. Eastwood is more than a school. It's our community. And it's where we want to keep growing. I know this is a big decision, but I ask you to think about us, the students. Please remember that Eastwood is not just a building, it's our home, our friendships, and our future. We hope you will keep it open so we can stay together and keep learning at the place we love.
Thank you, Scarlett. All right, we have got Megan Medina and then Larry Gelwicks, and Michelle Jones is after Larry.
Hi, my name is Megan Medina. I am a parent to a kindergartner at Eastwood Elementary. I'm also a member of the Eastwood Community Council and a member of the Eastwood Advocacy Group, so I've been busy. First of all, I want to say thank you to all of you for hearing us. That in and of itself made me almost cry. So thank you for hearing our concerns and bringing them up and addressing them seriously. I really appreciate that. And I also, and this actually is going with what I was going to say, was an encouragement to utilize this community that we have. So we had over 160 people, parents, kids, community supporters, do a walking school bus. We have over 100 people in our community advocacy group. We have over 1,700 signatures in a petition to keep Eastwood open. We have support. So let's use that together to do something great. I also teach community leadership up at the U of U. And one of the things I talk about is transformational change. And a question I ask is, do you want to pick weeds or grow flowers? So I want to encourage us together to work on how we want to grow flowers. Even if I want to encourage you to go with option number 3, to consider suspending it indefinitely, but I think the messaging of that matters as well. And it's not like we should suspend it for 3 years and then talk about all the schools we should close. But let's talk about, we're going to suspend this, and instead of keep on talking about the schools we're going to close, what is our plan for growth? What does this look like? What do we hope for? And let's make like a really tangible plan for what we want it to look like, where we want those schools to be, and then work together to get them. And yes, part of that might mean the closing then, but I think part of this feeling as a parent is that a lot of this process has simply felt like loss. It's pitting schools against each other. We're going to lose our neighborhood school. We're going to lose all these things. So let's work together to grow some flowers. Thank you.
Larry, and then we have Michelle and Brad Franco on deck.
My name is Larry Gelwicks, and my wife and I are deeply rooted in the Granite School District. All of our 5 children, having lived in the district 39 years, all 5 of our children attended Area 5 schools. We currently have 7 grandchildren enrolled at Eastwood, including 4 out of district. My wife served as the PTA president at Skyline High School, and both Kathy and I have and are currently doing volunteer work at Area 5 schools. We are deep into the Granite School District. I urge the board to vote yes on option 3, and I would like to personally thank Mr. Horsley, whom I've disagreed with on some of these issues, and his team for their thoughtful approach on option 3 and an open mind. You know, it's kind of interesting. I heard opinions of the hundreds of hours that the committee put in that, of course, we should adopt it because they have spent so much time researching it and looking up data and facts. Well, following that same logic then, we should adopt option 3 because those who put in the most time and are closest to the situation have had the courage to pivot and with an open mind. It's my understanding that in the last decade, Granite has closed 6 schools. Every one of them shared the same traits, located within a reasonable short walking distance of another school, not among the district's highest performing schools, and generally not attracting out-of-district students. The proposal to close crosses all of those patterns. As my time is up, I'll simply say, board members, you're at the crossroads of leadership. Please show our community that you represent transparency, accuracy, facts do matter, and a willingness to pivot with better solutions. Thank you.
We've got Michelle, Brad is on the deck, and Tiffany Lumba.
Hi, I'm Michelle Jones, Granite Education President. In the past, I have stood at this podium to express GEA's concerns about district communication, along with the consistency and transparency of district processes and decisions. That is not my purpose tonight. Tonight, I'm here to express GEA's confidence in the clarity, consistency, and integrity of the process the district's PAC Committee and Board of Education have followed in the Area 5 Population Analysis Study. I want to acknowledge and honor the deep emotions present in this room. I have profound empathy for those who are advocating for their community school. I remember how heartbreaking it was when Brockbank Junior High, the school where I began my teaching career, was closed. A school is the heart of a neighborhood. It's where relationships form, traditions are rooted, and community pride is strengthened. The closure of a school breaks a community's heart. At the same time, we cannot ignore the realities facing Granite School District. Granite District is experiencing declining enrollment due to low birth rates and expansion of duplicative charter school systems. Public schools are also operating with diminished state funding, Granite receiving millions less in funding last year, even as state funding for private school vouchers is increasing. These conditions require the district to be exceptionally prudent and ensure that its limited resources are used in fiscally responsible ways. Given these realities, the board is tasked with an extraordinarily difficult decision. Over the years, I've watched this board and the PAC Committee work to build and refine a process for school closures that is consistent, transparent, and grounded in community input. I can say with confidence that the board and PAC Committee have listened authentically to patron concerns and suggestions. The process used for Area 5 mirrors the same thoughtful, equitable approach used in other areas, including last year's 3500 South Corridor study. I deeply appreciate the Granite Board of Education for making sure that students, educators, and your communities are at the heart of all of your decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Got Brad, then we have Tiffany, and then Lily Claude. Is Brad first?
Oh, okay. My name is Tiffany Malumba. I am an Eastwood parent, alumna, and a part of the Eastwood Community Advocacy Group. Thank you for finally listening to our community, and we agree on the recommendation to suspend the study indefinitely because it would shut down a thriving school and send its students into a school that is clearly in crisis. The data could not be clearer. From 2017 to 2025, Eastwood lost only 46 students, a 14% decline over 7 years, about 2% per year, which is below the district average. Oak Ridge, over the same period, lost 161 students, a 37% decline, averaging more than 6% per year, which is double the district average. Eastwood's recent decline is tied to closure rumors. Oak Ridge's decline is long-term, severe, and has nothing to do with this process. The district has tried to explain Oak Ridge's attrition by pointing to DLI and ALC programs at Morningside, but that claim has no evidence behind it. The mobility data shows only 26 students attending those programs, and we still have no data showing they ever started at Oak Ridge. And because DLI entry stops after first grade, it cannot account for years of students leaving. The district has produced no research on why families are leaving Oak Ridge or where the 161 missing students went. Look also at staff stability. Oak Ridge's teacher retention is only 41% compared to Eastwood's 68%. 7 administrative assistants, including 4 secretaries, have left Oak Ridge this year alone, with another resigning just weeks ago. That level of turnover is not normal. It reflects serious internal problems that this proposal completely ignores. We keep hearing that the goal is to make the outcome feel like a win-win, but families are not asking for better optics. We are demanding honesty, transparent data, and decisions based on evidence, not narratives designed to justify a predetermined outcome. I also cannot ignore the number of people who have approached our group about racism at Oak Ridge, concerns raised even in meetings with a board member. Eastwood is 20% diverse. So please suspend the study indefinitely. Thank you.
Okay, we've got Lily Claude and then Katie Dumke and Emily Brammer.
My name is Lily Malumba, and I am a student at Eastwood. We students love Eastwood. It is our safe place. If little kids like kindergarten and preschool grow up to first grade, they will have a connection with the teachers. The teachers are very nice. Trust them and give them a hug. We all love Eastwood. Eastwood is a safe place. We all belong. We belong at Eastwood and nowhere else, except for our house. Eastwood is our home. We are eagles. Eagles never give up, and neither do we at Eastwood. I do not want to go to another school where I will be made fun for the color of my skin. That is not safe for me. At Eastwood, we are good, we love, we are home, and we can't go without it. So vote no to closing Eastwood. We love Eastwood.
She wrote that herself. I did not write that for her.
Next up, we have Katie, and then Emily Brammer, and then Zachary Book on deck.
That's a tough act to follow. I'll keep my comments brief. My name is Katie Dumke. I'm a parent of an Eastwood alumnus, 2 current students, and 1 future student, and I'm also part of the Eastwood Community Advocacy Group. I want to start by thanking you for taking our feedback seriously and reconsidering the PAC recommendation. I know this has come after hours and hours of meetings and emails, and I truly appreciate that and say thank you. I've changed my remarks in light of the new proposal from Superintendent Horsley. The current PAC proposal does not solve the problems of our area. Instead, it disrupts a school community, Eastwood, that is thriving and did not ask for intervention. I'm asking you to vote to suspend this study indefinitely and look forward to taking our collective energy into this community and our district to make sure we continue to serve all of our families and students district-wide. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Emily Brammer's next, then Zachary Book and Kyle Domeyer.
Hi, thank you so much for your time. I want to reiterate that. We really appreciate it. My name is Emily Brammer. I'm another member of the Eastwood Community Advocacy Group. Thank you for hearing and addressing our concerns. We do urge you to vote to indefinitely suspend the study. Eastwood enrollment has declined, but a big part of that is due to the PAC study, as has been said. Many of our friends have proactively moved to other schools so that they could secure a spot before the Eastwood closure, and I know that many will happily return if this study can be indefinitely suspended. Thank you for seeing our concerns and offering these options. This gains my trust and a lot of others, I'm sure, and thank you for hearing us.
Thank you, Emily. Got Zachary Book, and then Kyle Domeyer and Kate Bishop on deck.
First to the, excuse me, can you hear me?
Can you move that up? Yeah, as high as, yeah.
Sorry, it's a pleasure to see you all again. First to the board, Mr. Horsley and Mr. Hogan, thank you so much for all your efforts and your hard work. I'm Dr. Book. I'm a board-certified emergency physician. I also hold a psych degree from the University of Utah with an emphasis in early childhood education. I'm an Oak Ridge alumnus, and I moved my family back to Utah to attend Oak Ridge and experience the same amazing education that I had as a child. I could also say that about my 2 nephews, as well as multiple other family members that went to Oak Ridge and have an amazing experience through the Granite School District system. During my time, Oak Ridge was an advanced learning center and had GT programs. I reviewed the Area 5 PAC study in depth, and first and foremost, it's my hope that no schools in our community close. Every school holds value for families and local history. I'd like to acknowledge that all schools in the study are amazing, and many statements have been made tonight regarding Morningside and Eastwood. The same statements of loss and disappointment would be reiterated by the Oak Ridge community and family if they were allowed to speak in depth similar to the other members. That being said, I advocate for Oak Ridge, and to be practical at these matters, I'd like to say a few things. Oak Ridge has a central location and has a large capacity that makes it ideal for our community and students to learn efficiently and be transported efficiently. Oak Ridge is a historic landmark. It's an amazing building, a mid-century modern marvel that brings joy to all students with its environment and views across the city. It would be a tragedy to lose it. Oak Ridge has potential for future remodeling and modernization to serve all students, preserving community heritage and identity. It has potential for future cost savings via renovations versus building a new school, which I think is quite an advantage. Our community supports...
Thank you, Zachary. Sorry. Thank you for coming and representing our community.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Kyle Domeyer. I have 2 kids at Eastwood and 1 more in the pipeline. I had prepared remarks, but I'd like to share an anecdotal story. Eastwood might be just be a building, might just be a school, but as a former at-risk youth myself, I had the benefit of attending our Area 5 schools, Eastwood, Churchill, and Skyline. My home life was a little challenging, and at one point ended up living far on the west side. I would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and take the city bus to make it to Churchill for a 6:45 band practice taught by no one else but Miss Nicole McDermott. So while I was untethered at home, I was not untethered at school, and I'm here today before you, and I'm back with my kids at Eastwood because of the success of these schools, and they're not just buildings, it's beyond that. I wouldn't be here today but for Eastwood, Churchill, and Skyline. So thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. I do remember him, by the way, if anybody knows. He was a great kid. Kate Bishop is next, and then we have Rob Badger.
Hi, good evening. Thank you guys for being here and your patience and listening to each and every one of us so intently. Good evening, my name is Kate Bishop. I'm the mother of 2 daughters, one who is currently enrolled in 3rd grade at Eastwood and one who is a future Eastwood student. She starts kindergarten next year. Given the updates this evening, I, as many, have altered my comments. Throughout the PAC study, our community has rallied and offered numerous creative solutions that directly address the challenges the district says it's facing. Creative solutions require courage. Real innovation requires brave leadership. Leaders willing to step away from the default option of closures, willing to explore new models, and willing to stand up for what serves the children rather than what feels safest on a spreadsheet. I urge the board to pause the PAC study indefinitely and step forward to find a new path to lead the conversation on the challenges facing the foundations of public education in Utah. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Rob Badger, and then we have Havana Costa, and then Ozzy Costa.
I appreciate Superintendent Horsley's willingness to listen throughout the study. For the first time, it feels as though our concerns are being heard. I strongly urge the board to suspend this study indefinitely, or at the very least, delay it until it can be conducted properly without the biases many in the community perceive are taking place. The goal of any changes in Area 5 should be to provide long-term stability for the families and for our students. Based on the enrollment numbers we went over tonight, the PAC's current proposal does not accomplish this. When Holiday Elementary closed years ago, many of those students were sent to Meadowmore, which then just a few years later closed. As parents of Driggs students who are going to be reassigned to Cottonwood under the PAC's current recommendation due to domino effects from closing Morningside, I cannot risk repeating this pattern for my children. We want stability for our children. We will not move to Cottonwood only to be moved again a few years later when Cottonwood's enrollment continues to decline. I will move my children where we can find stability. Families deserve better long-term planning than what the PAC's current proposal offers. Again, I urge the board to suspend indefinitely and give our families the stability we want and deserve.
Thank you. We have Havana next, and then Ozzy, and then on deck, Jenny Gelwicks.
Hi, my name is Havana, and I am a student at Eastwood. The reason I don't want to close Eastwood is because if I go to a different school, the teachers maybe won't get how smart I am. And I'm amazed about all the amazing teachers, and forcing me to go to a different school is wrong. And I love being an Eastwood Eagle. Please keep my school open. I think you would be very sad if people tried to close your kid's school. I've done a lot of work to keep Eastwood open. Mr. Graham, Miss Wolfenbarger, and Miss Meadowcroft are amazing. My little brother is in preschool at Eastwood, and if you close Eastwood, my little brother George won't get the experience of being an Eastwood Eagle. And you've closed 6 schools. Do you really want to close a 7th? And if you close Eastwood, I will miss my best friends forever. Thank you.
Thanks, Savannah. Ozzy?
Hi, my name is Ozzy, and I am a student at Eastwood, and I think closing Eastwood is very wrong. And the teachers there are so fantastic, and we have a top 10 Golden STEM school, and I think if anyone's kids that went to a school and someone closed them, I don't know how you would feel, but if I was an adult, I'd feel kind of sad and mad at everybody. My friends are from all over the valley, and Eastwood is special. And I want my sister that's in 2nd grade, I want her to be in my teacher's class. And my brother that's in preschool, I want him to have a kindergarten buddy. So let's keep Eastwood open. Thanks.
Just to preface, those are my amazing kids, and they wrote those speeches themselves. I just helped with spelling, so I'm really proud of them.
Jenny Gelwicks is next, then we have Kate Miyagi.
I also changed my comments from just anxiety crying for 2 minutes to, I'm the type of person that if I think something positively about somebody or something, I make sure that I say it. I am feeling a sliver of hope that I have not felt since the study was announced. This has been the hardest teaching year of my 21 years teaching. And I had an entire pregnancy teaching and had a baby 2 days after school got out. So that was the hardest until this year. Thank you for hearing our community, and thank you for offering an option to pivot. I am hopeful that our small, what I like to call a boutique school, will continue to thrive as a safe and strong learning environment. And I hope that our students that have already left in anticipation of a closure and asked if they could come back will start doing so. We have had people want to come to our school for the 12 years I've been at Eastwood that end up not coming because of rumors over those 12 years. So I'm hoping that that will help us rebound. I don't know if it's possible as well, but perhaps you accept gifts of some sort, and our 16 3D printers at Eastwood will be hard at work with gratitude crowns for you all. So I just wanted to say thank you for listening and offering an option.
Can we request colors?
Oh, we have many. We just used our PTA funds to buy more filament. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Kate. And then after Kate, I think it's, I believe, Linda Book. Is that correct? And then after Linda, Alex Takahashi.
Well, we're hopefully getting towards the end. I hate to pick up on kind of a negative note, but I wanted to follow on to what Naomi Kaizen started to tell you, because I had the same comment, so I'm glad she was able to start that. I have two legal concerns that I wanted to enter into the record. The first was, as Naomi was saying, the board failed to notify Area 5 families according to what is required in Utah code. As Naomi said, the motion made under subsection 24B, this is Title 53G, Chapter 4, Section 402, subsection 24 of Utah State Code. 24D of that section says, a motion made under subsection 24B shall name each school under consideration for closure in a separate motion. You have not done that, to my knowledge. The two motions that have been made, one was in February. Julie Jackson moved that we proceed with an Area 5 study for the PAC study next year for 2025, was the motion that was made in February. And then the motion that was made in September regarding the PAC study, also made by Julie Jackson, said, I moved to accept the recommendations to continue the study with the focus as presented. That's it. You have not followed Utah State Code, and that's on the board. My other concern, there's more about that, but I'll send you the details. My other concern is that the recommendation of the PAC, at least as far as closing Morningside, could easily be considered arbitrary and capricious. The objective data, if you compare Morningside's enrollment and in-boundary population numbers to neighboring schools, for example, Cottonwood Elementary, Morningside compares favorably on all the objective measures. So there isn't arbitrary and capricious argument.
Thank you. And then invite Linda up. And then we have Alex, and then finally Amy.
Good evening. Thank you for paying attention so long. My name is Dr. Linda Book. I am a professor of pediatrics at the University of Utah, and I have been caring for Utah's children, health and minds for nearly 50 years. I care a lot about education. I've been teaching the physicians who take care of the current children for nearly that long as well. And my three children have attended Oak Ridge School, and 5 grandchildren either have attended or are attending Oak Ridge School. It is, as you know, a top performer and ranked in the top 10 schools of Utah. It's an outstanding school. It does an amazing job. It has tremendous community support and fantastic leadership. And as do several other schools in the Granite School District. And I would entreat you, my allegiance is to Oak Ridge. Please keep Oak Ridge School open. But please, as a board, use your creative energy, your leadership to try to figure out how to keep most, if not all, of these really high-performing schools open. Thanks.
Thank you. Alex Takahashi and then Amy Warren.
Hi, thank you. Good evening to the board. My name is Alex Takahashi, and my wife and I live about a 5-minute walk from Morningside Elementary. I'm asking you to please choose to suspend the study indefinitely and keep Morningside open. I think my wife and I are a little bit unique here because we actually don't have any kids going to the school, but my wife is currently pregnant, 25 weeks pregnant, and so we hope to keep Morningside open for the future of our neighborhood. Like I said, my wife and I recently moved to the neighborhood. She's 25 weeks pregnant, and one of the biggest reasons why we chose this neighborhood was so our kids could attend the school in the future that is so close to our home. Some of our closest friends actually moved right around the corner as well, another young couple trying to start a family and in hopes of sending their kids to Morningside as well. Having this school in our neighborhood promotes a sense of community among both the parents of the school and the kids that attend the school. And although we don't have any kids in attendance yet, I imagine our kids will have an easier time making friends in the neighborhood if they both attend the same school that's nearby. And for us, getting to know our neighbors and building a sense of community is becoming more and more important, especially considering the technology is making us more isolated in our homes. This is more than just a school to us. It's part of a foundation we envisioned for raising our children and building that sense of community with our neighbors. I also want to highlight what many of us are seeing firsthand is that our neighborhood is changing. Longtime residents are aging and more young families are moving in, just like our friends and us did. The demand for local walkable elementary school is not only going to shrink, it's not going to shrink, it's going to grow. Closing the school now appears to be based on insufficient data and not on obvious trajectory of the future. I respectfully ask you to keep Morningside Elementary open and choose option 3 to support the young families and promote the community building in our neighborhood. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Alex. We have Amy as our final guest.
My name is Amy Warren, and I will be completely the odd man out, as I am a parent of a Neil Armstrong Academy student. I would like to kind of just speak on behalf of the West Side, who didn't have an opportunity to be here tonight. Well, they did have an opportunity. All of you have always had an opportunity to be here. I am so excited to hear that I won't be alone in the audience with just a couple of friends anymore. I'm so excited for the momentum to continue forward in engagement throughout districts, even when it does throughout the district, even when it does not directly impact your student. And I'm really excited to get lots of engagement. Join your PTAs, keep coming. I'm excited to see you here. Let's keep engaging and let's keep listening. And let's all recognize, I appreciate, as I have watched this process, this is the 3rd time that I've sat through these meetings watching this process. Last year it affected my schools in my surrounding area, and I have appreciated deeply the immense work that is put in by our PAC committee. I have seen them work hard into the night. I have seen them listen to the people yelling at them saying, "You're not listening to me." And I've sat in a conversation with Steve Hogan for multiple significant amount of time after, saying, "Hey, this is what my community is expressing to me, and they are feeling unheard." As the West Side has felt unheard for multiple years now. When it came to reconfiguration, when it came to the boundary study, all I heard from my community was, "Well, it's already decided, they don't care what we have to say." And I told them, yes, they do. They care, reach out, reach out, reach out. They don't have the time. So I am so grateful for the East Side parents that have the access to reach out to the media and to get the media involved and to start their own advocacy groups where there's already advocacy groups in place. It's called PTA. Please join your PTA. And where I was asked multiple times at the beginning of the study, where was the West Side when this was happening on the West Side? And the West Side was trying to put food on their table. So please continue to listen to our constituents and keep doing what you're doing. You guys, I know you guys are listening, and keep doing what you're doing and making the decisions that are right for the entire district and not just one group.
Thank you, Amy. All right, that concludes our, as far as I know, right, Luke? That concludes our public hearing. This then takes us to our action item. We have some options before us. What?
I was just going to make the motion, but we have some, okay. All right. So I want to move to suspend this study indefinitely and put that actually as a final action.
I will second that motion. Okay, we have a motion and a second to suspend the study indefinitely, and that is a final action. We do not need two motions on it as it is not a closure of a school. We will go ahead and take board comments this time.
I wasn't sure what a final action.
Yes, we had to
It's the first
clarify
time we
because
used that,
if we
so
needed two readings, we have this scheduled also in December.
So this means that it would not, December would not be a vote on this if we did this, right?
If we suspend it, yes.
Yeah, I've prepared some thoughts, so I just want to share them. In the last 20 years, much has changed in education in Utah, and we feel those changes in Granite and particularly in Holiday City and Mill Creek City. We've had a decline in the birth rate of nearly 36% since 2008. We've had an increase in competition from charter, private homeschool, and Utah Fits All, none of which are required to play by the same rules as public education, which puts us and particularly marginalized kids at a disadvantage. We've got a lack of affordable housing, particularly in our neighborhoods, which means less elementary age families can afford to live next door. We are especially feeling the impacts of this evolution in our Mill Creek and Holiday schools. Last year, we lost a combined 15 teachers among the 10 schools in this study. We are seeing erratic class size and split classes. Last week, I spoke to a group of students from Skyline who went to some of these schools and now volunteer in these classes. They told me powerfully, no one should be okay with this. Our teachers have more work, which means our kids get less individual attention. Our schools with less than 400 kids are losing kids 3 times faster than other schools in our area. Think about it, if your kid is in a class of 38, you might consider changing schools too. As schools lose students, they lose teachers and programs, which in turn makes more students choose to leave. And quickly the school is in a spiral of decline. This is what we're working to prevent. I recognize the work done by our entire community to respond to this evolution. Thank you to everyone for the work you've put into making sure education in our neighborhoods evolve in an effective and positive direction. This study has been an outlier because mid-study, I believe we began to see a shift in our beliefs about best practices. With ALC, we need to study whether we want to expand or contract the program. With DLI, we need to study whether it's most effective as a standalone program or in a traditional school. And we need to determine how is best to set up our neighborhood schools to thrive amidst declining and open enrollment, especially in Holiday and Mill Creek, where almost 40% of our kids in our schools do not live in the boundary. I support the PAC's recommendation, but because of this evolving philosophy, I don't think they could make it comprehensive enough. And under their recommendations, some of our great schools are still vulnerable to the spiral of low enrollment. Because of this, I support an extended study of all Area 5, in which we hire an independent agency to come in and give the board a recommendation on how we can set up our entire area, maybe even our entire district, for long-term success. I want to be clear about my expectations of this study. I expect a thorough community engagement plan, but one that is completely different from what we've done in this study. I do not want 4-hour meetings with people at the microphone. My community is tired, and if we are going to spend our time continuing to engage on this, we want our time effectively and efficiently spent. I expect a full report with data to back up recommendations. I expect board and district leaders to be completely distant from the process of getting a recommendation, except to provide data. I expect the board and district to flesh out our vision for ALC, DLI, and traditional schools so that vision can be included in the recommendation. I also expect that we will provide information about effectiveness and lessons learned from past boundary studies and school closures. I'd love to hear feedback from community members of things we should expect from this study that I have not yet considered as well. I understand that some of my community may be breathing a sigh of relief right now. Others are open-mouthed, frustrated that we have to go through this another year. Regardless of how you're feeling right now, I want to be sure we are all on the same page. This recommendation comes with risk. I have no idea what the independent study will recommend. Wouldn't it be great if they could find a way to set us up for success with no closures? I wouldn't count on it, though. They could recommend 2, 3, 4 school closures. This expansion is not a decision not to close schools. It is a recognition that we need more time to get it right. Our neighborhood is full of incredible kids. I want to give them all we've got to help them develop their talents and reach their potential. I think they are worth another year and an independent study.
Kim, did you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'll keep my comments brief. I've said a couple of times throughout the study that I was uncertain about the closure recommendations this time around because the schools involved seem to be succeeding despite their small size. And this, as was very well described by Superintendent Horsley, this stands in stark contrast to previous studies. And last year, as an example, one of the schools that we closed in particular was definitely struggling, have been struggling for a while. It's a completely different scenario. Morningside and Eastwood, however, are both succeeding schools. This year, it felt a little bit like we were trying to fix something that's not broken yet because of a belief that breakage is inevitable and imminent. But I strongly believe in the phrase, you can't argue with success. And so that's where I'm going to land today.
Thanks, Kim. Connie?
It's been interesting. I have enjoyed going to the meetings. I enjoy the involvement. It makes I don't enjoy the fact that if we put it off, hopefully schools can grow. And a study down the road will show that. But for right now, I think it's important that we put it off for a while.
I think through this whole study, I've learned a lot about our district that I did not understand, and I'm understanding more about highly functioning schools, even not fitting in the parameters that we've kind of made, that we think this is what a high functioning school should look like. But the facts are we are an aging district. We are declining enrollment. These issues are not going to go away, but I don't think the timing is right. I think this is the wrong time to be closing schools without having that study that's in depth and gives a full picture of what we need for Area 5. I don't think we have the full picture. I think we solve one problem and it makes another and another and another. I don't think this is the right timing. I would hope we could do a study when our budget will allow that. hopefully not too far down the road, but this is not the right time for closure. I appreciate the PAC and their efforts. It's so hard to decide what to do for schools that is right by kids. And right now, we feel like our kids are getting a quality education, even maybe not a permanent solution, but they're still succeeding. I hope we can come to a consensus, but I will support moving to suspend the study.
I have a few comments. A couple of problems I've had throughout this whole study is, and I'm going to talk Morningside and Eastwood as two separate things because that's how I've kept them straight in my mind over the last several months, is on the Eastwood thing, I've often said, this study is difficult because we're trying to solve a problem they don't care about. And the problem they care about is we always say we want bigger schools. But you guys are doing just fine as a small school. And so seeing that and trying to reconcile that in my mind has landed me today where I will be voting to suspend the study. So that's kind of my Eastwood piece. On the Morningside, the more I looked at it, and I just felt like it had its tentacles on so many moving parts, and move 100 kids there to move 100 kids over there, and it was so nuanced that I couldn't come to the conclusion that it just came to where it didn't make sense to me. And so that's where I landed on each of those studies. And so the conversations we've had, and Ben was the deliverer of the good news of this, but I want to make sure people understand that came from the board. Yes. That was the recommendation, giving direction to our superintendent that we wanted other options, and this is one of the options we wanted. And so I want to make sure that you guys know that it came from the board. I do believe we need a comprehensive plan. I also know right now this is not the year where financially we can support what is truly needed. And so while I think that we do need that in the future, I don't want to extend the study in any way. We can't hire the consultant right now. There's not funding to do so. And when we choose to do so, I want it done the right way without any fiscal kind of restraints. What I believe next year's study should look at is we've closed more than 6 schools in the last 10 years. I heard the number 6, but it's been more than that. But we have yet to stop to catch our breath, look at the enrollment data, follow the population analysis of where those kids are going. Once we close a school, we need to go back and look at Mill Creek. We need to look at Kearns, Western Hills, Ochre Hills. We need to look at other areas that we've done. We just consolidated a DLI program in West Valley, my area. And so what's happened to those schools, where are those populations? So my recommendation for anything next year is to not do any boundary or consolidation piece, but to look and just have a total data gathering mission next year to look at those numbers, see where we are, find out how many kids we've retained. If we haven't retained them, where did they go and how do we get them back? So that's where I stand.
I will do my best not to repeat comments that have already been made by other board members. I have long been an advocate for more comprehensive studies, not less comprehensive studies. I don't think we have done ourselves or our district any favors by siloing the district, whether that's in one area or 5 areas or across bordering areas between Area 4 and Area 5 or Area 1 and Area 2. So I continue firm in my belief that greater reach of studies, particularly boundary studies and closure studies, is critical to the long-term success of all of our schools. As part of that, I believe that capital budgeting and facility planning and strategic investments has to be part of that comprehensive process. I don't think it has been a sufficient component or components of this particular study. And for that reason, I also support to suspend the study. I do want to address that a little bit. I appreciate the superintendent's comments, and I think we face a critical reality of the budgetary strains that exist in public education in our state. They've already been articulated quite eloquently. But I also want to make sure that the public appreciates that we have other patrons that come to these board meetings at times, and they are very different from the folks that are here this evening. These are folks that do not have children any longer, but also believe in public education and believe in supporting it. But they live on fixed incomes, and they are faced with challenges in supporting our public school system as funding is diminished from state levels, and the direction from the legislature that comes to an entity such as ours is to increase property taxes to make up differences. So I feel a tremendous amount of fiscal responsibility at the same time as an academic responsibility to children. We do have an issue that is very real to our district, and it's not unique to Area 5 necessarily. And I appreciate especially some of the comments this evening that recognize that we have a challenge with declining enrollment. There are a myriad of reasons and causes for that have been presented and explained, but it's a real problem. And I feel a real tension, a real conflict, if you will, as to how to reconcile between those responsibilities that we have as a district, as an entity that has a responsibility both to the academic success of each and every one of our students, as well as the fiscal responsibility that we owe to each and every taxpayer. So while I will support and agree, quite frankly, with suspending the study and doing so indefinitely, how we're describing that this evening, I don't think that we can shove this issue under the rug for an extended period of time. It is a real issue. We can do better at finding the right solution, and I have confidence that we can and will, in fact, do that. Thank you.
So,
President, I wanted to say more too, but I can wait for you.
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to add to Clark's comments because and also give you credit, Clark, because Clark's the first one to say, well, if we're going to do an independent study, maybe we want to look at our entire district. And I really feel strongly about that. I think that is a really important idea, and that we need to look at that, not just and include the capital budget and the strategic plan where that's concerned, but also take a look at how do we compete in this new industry, in this new market of education that is competitive. And I think that school closures or boundary changes where programs are located, are there programs we aren't providing that we ought to? Are there innovative things that we haven't thought of that we could do in order to compete and make sure that our kids have the highest quality education that we could possibly give them? I think that that's a huge part of it. And I agree with you, Clark, that the word indefinitely makes me very nervous. Well, I shouldn't put words in your mouth. You didn't say that. I should say that for myself. It makes me very nervous. In this area, while I do want an independent group to come in here and I want to do it right, and I want to make sure that we have the funds to pay for it, and I do want it to be a district-wide situation. I mean, 3 of my schools are under 300 students right now. So there is an urgency. This isn't a made-up problem. Our kids are feeling it, and again, I was really struck by my Skyline students and the way that they portrayed what was the problems that they were seeing that were effects of a small school. And so I think it's very important that we understand that we are keeping these schools in a vulnerable situation and that we recognize that we cannot hold on to this forever. We can't allow this to happen forever, because what we risk is that one or two of those schools does, if it's not already in that spiral of decline that I described earlier, that's what we're risking. So I just think it's very important that we recognize that word indefinitely is not, I mean, there's an urgency to that word, So I just want that to be on your minds, because I want to advocate for those kids who are in split classes or classrooms of 38 who live in my neighborhoods, right? I think it's very important not to just leave them hanging out to dry with a class of 38 for their entire elementary career.
Thanks, Julie. For my part, I wanted to share, I said that we have all had hundreds of emails probably and had many, many conversations, and some of those conversations have been very productive. Some of them have not been very productive, but I appreciate those who reached out in good faith and had productive conversations. One particular one that I emailed this weekend got back to me this weekend, yesterday, and I really appreciated this little paragraph, just wanted to share it. They said the only true data-informed decision available at this time to reach the PAC stated goal would be to close 3 schools. I deeply appreciate the district's willingness to not take such a drastic step in the spirit of preserving community well-being. That restraint reflects care for families and neighborhoods. And I want you to understand that was the original purpose of the PAC's recommendation, because I think we're gonna, if we do this, and I agree that we need to have a more in-depth study, but I think we need to also face the reality that this could very possibly close 3 or more schools in the future. But I also support that we have a very complex situation here, that we have a very different animal, if you will, than some of our other studies. And I think we do need to have a more in-depth look at this because of the unique situations. I want to make this clear. I do support the PAC. They have done other studies in other areas, and I don't want the people that are there in that area to think that we are trying to give more preferential treatment, but this area has a unique situation that we've never experienced before, as Superintendent Horsley pointed out. We value our schools and we value the high-performing schools that we have. We know, though, from experience, and I shared this with some teachers as well, that high-performing is only one aspect of creating a successful learning environment. We value choice within a school, strong professional learning communities, and environments that foster growth, innovation, and support for all students. And that is ultimately our goal. My plea to you here that are here tonight, we are here to work with you. Please help us help you. This district cannot subsidize small schools. If the amount of time and energy that was put into you saving your schools was put into building up your community schools, we wouldn't be in this situation. So please help us. We want to do what needs to happen to get those kids back. As Julie said, we are willing to be innovative. We're willing to look at things. We're willing to do this. But we need your help. I was able to meet with some parents from Driggs, and I appreciated their perspective, but I asked them the same thing. What is it that we need to do? Because we're in this situation because of that. Help us. Help us. Use this energy and keep it going. We would like to work with you. We want to work together, and I would encourage you to start working together as a community as a whole and stop fighting against each other. We would invite you to come also, as Clark mentioned, to our Truth in Taxation meeting in August, when we have to talk to our patrons and other patrons, which included several Mill Creek patrons this year, who asked us about why we were raising taxes. Please help us help them understand. We value education, we value our public schools, and we value your children, and we want to be able to support them. So please come and help us. With that, I do support also to suspend the study indefinitely with the understanding that this is not, we're not going to come back and not touch this area. This area does need to be looked at. We need to address some of these situations, but help us do that in the right way. We have...
I also just want to make sure, one of the lessons learned from this study is that what happens in other schools impacts what happens in your own school. And, you know, I've heard you talk about, and I've seen it at the podium here, schools being pitted up against each other. Things said that are hurtful or, you know, communities, again, pitted up against each other. And I hope that there will be healing and mending and forgiving and forgetting and a decision to come together and collaborate and support each other, because we all impact each other. And it's really important if we want to succeed, we're going to succeed because we work together. So I hope that we can make an effort in that direction.
Board President, could I make a comment? Or
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to echo some of the comments that were made, and I appreciate the board and the direction. I think one thing that's been frustrating to me throughout this process is people indicating that minds have already been made up or the decision's already been made. And I have worked collaboratively with this group of elected officials over this past 10, 11 months on this process, and I knew intimately how difficult that was to hear those kind of comments, knowing the questions you were posing to me and towards PAC, and to make sure that we were being diligent in our process and following our policy and state law. While ultimately, I'm concerned. I just want to make sure I echo what's said here. While there's some sigh of relief here, I'm still concerned about these classes that have just a few students in them or way too many kids in them, despite being allocated the same amount of resources as every other school in that area and throughout Granite School District. So if I could make a plea, I will be out and invite myself to some of these school community councils to further that conversation. And I hope they'll allow me to come in and to have an open and honest conversation. We could expend a tremendous amount of resources that we don't have. But the number one factor in bringing some of these families and these students back to these schools is simply word of mouth. It is the number one feature and factor of school marketing. There's plenty of research to indicate. Simply just ask your neighbor why they're not coming to the number one Gold STEM certified ALC traditional program. It is word of mouth. Please talk to your neighbors. Help them understand what they're missing out. These are some of the top performing schools in the state and the nation. This is the number one performing network in the entire state. And there's no reason why you would get a better education at a private school. And frankly, with the loss of 30,000 students over the last 20 years, there's not that many kids that attend charter schools in our district right now. There is declining birth rates. So we do need to do everything we can to ensure those who reside in our communities take advantage of the incredible educational opportunities that our administrators and our teachers are working hard to provide each and every day.
I just wanted to make sure I'm going to throw a shot of some reality in there too, and that is that, you've said it before, Superintendent, you don't just like make kids out of thin air. And when you get your neighbor to come back to your school, which I think you should, you also maybe pull them from another of our schools, right? A lot of our kids who boundary out of your boundary, they go to our other schools. And so remember, if we're looking at this as an entire Area 5 problem, or I should say challenge situation, there's also this kind of thing of like, I want to be real and make sure expectations are set that we aren't just going to be able to bring in 1,000 kids. There are still outstanding challenges. So I'm really concerned about my community having expectations that aren't realistic, So just want to say that out there.
I think that's an important point. We cannot lose sight of the reality of the situation that we are in as whatever you want to define it as, a community, as a school district, as a state, as a valley, as a county. There are many ways to describe it. And you're right, Julie. We have, I think, 2 charter schools that are near enough to Area 5 schools that students and families could attend those charter schools. That's not going to bring back 1,000 students, even combined if they both were shuttered tomorrow, right? So I really am sincere when I say that I appreciate especially the comments that acknowledge the challenge that we are in. It is a really difficult situation. And as a parent of 5 children myself, and having closed my neighborhood school of my own where all 5 of my children attended school just a few years ago, I empathize with this situation. And I empathize with the comments that we received, so many of which are, we understand that there's some challenges here, but please not my school. I empathize with that greatly. But there is also a quote out there that talks about how a nation is formed on those that come together for the greater common good. And that is ultimately what we have to get to as a board. We have to direct the process to get to the greatest common good. And that is still has a reality to it that will be painful at some point for certain schools, for certain neighborhoods. That I don't see going away in the near future. The demographers tell us that it's not going away anytime soon. So we cannot lose sight of that reality.
All right. If there's no further comments, we have a motion on the table to suspend the study indefinitely. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. We appreciate our communities being here. Thank you. We hope you understand that your voices have been heard, and we will strive to continue to work with you as we try to solve this. Thank you.
Board President, might I recommend a saunter for a minute?
We're going to have a saunter for a moment. We'll be back. so we'd invite you to go out to the foyer.
I take back all the bad things I said about Ben Horsley.
Oh my gosh, that was my husband.
Julie, thank you.
Great. And I was like, okay.
So he takes back all the things that he said about you.
Thanks for your comments.
Thanks guys for your comments. Great job.
By the way, these are two of my grades. I have 7 Eastwood, 4 out of the district. And we chose Eastwood for 2 reasons. After them at first, and their cousins were there, it was a big deal.
It's fun, yeah.
But then stop us. They both approached their parents and said, I want to speak. And they both wrote out their comments. The parents had no input other than spelling.
Which we didn't even notice the spelling errors. Yeah. Good job. Good job. Good job. Thank you. All right, we still have one other item, 2 more items. Look, I took everything else off the agenda, but we have to do this.
Just give a shout out to these wonderful people for hanging out.
Thank you, the rest of you who stayed. We appreciate you. Go PTA and GA and GATA. GAUP. I don't remember which year. Thank you. I just have to say GATA.
Doug's ready to go. Let's go.
All right, Doug, you're up.
All right, board members, we just have one policy tonight, which is the second reading. We are reading VC1, which is our prohibition against discrimination. We read this policy on the first reading last month. Law and Policy met about it again. And the one thing I told you last month is that this is an area of law that continues to develop. Kim brought up in Law and Policy a slight discrepancy in the language that needed to at least have a caveat or a disclaimer. And so if you'll notice in paragraph 3 and 4 of the definitions, we've added a parenthetical there that just says that the protected classes against whom a claim of discrimination or for whom a claim of discrimination can be made. We would do that consistently with Title IX and Title VII. The reason for that is that there are circumstances where protected classes would be protected under one of those civil rights laws and not necessarily under the other. And so we've put that disclaimer in there. And with that, I recommend that policy to you, and we'll answer any questions that you might have.
Do we have any questions? If there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion. This is a second reading.
I move that we approve Article 5C1, Prohibition of Discrimination and Harassment, as a second and final reading.
I'll second. We have a motion and a second on the table to approve Article 5C1, Prohibition of Discrimination, as a and harassment, sorry. I needed to make sure I got the full title. For a second and final reading. Is there any comments? All right, no comments. Everyone in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, board.
Thank you for being short tonight. I'm going to turn the time over to Superintendent Horsley for our report.
Haven't seen Doug move that fast in a long time.
I'm going to go quick. Olympus High State soccer championship game with the girls. They did incredibly well. Love the team. Very proud, even though they didn't win. They represented the district very well, and their fans are incredible. Halloween was possibly the best day I've ever had as a superintendent. I drove over 150 miles, and I visited 10 different locations. The best/worst part was the pie in my face at Hunter High that I thought it was whipped cream, but it was actually shaving cream, Aqua Sport flavor. Over 2,000 visits to schools in the first quarter by district administrators. 2,000 visits to schools in the first quarter. So we're going to work with our school level admins to hone those visits and make sure that they're as effective as they possibly can be, and that we're actually working to enhance outcomes while we're there and not just popping in and saying hello. So most of those visits were in classrooms and providing some form of assistance, and we just want to make sure that it is equally effective. Dr. Nerd and I went out and we visited 3 locations of small group interventions and special education classes. This was at Upland Terrace, Granger Elementary, and Truman Elementary. We had a remarkable time, and we got to hang out with some of our most vulnerable kids and the paras and the teachers. I would encourage everybody to go out and have that experience. It will just change your perspective. And just a huge shout out to those incredible teachers and those paras and those wonderful students. And so very grateful to have the privilege and honor of serving those kids. The Day of the Dead celebration at Dos Mundos Academy was incredibly successful. I don't think I've seen such a huge turnout for a family activity, and they were doing a bunch of learning activities as well. It was just an incredible event, and just props to them for their marketing and efforts to engage that community. As already mentioned by 2 of our board members, Julie and Clark, we had the privilege of going to the Pinocchio production at Crestview, where we got to recognize 2 outstanding PTA volunteers who've been part of that play production since 2017, and give them some flowers and thank them for their help and support of Crestview and that incredible production and what it's become. 2 last quick items. Olympus Town Hall meeting I thought was incredibly successful. I was grateful for the board members who were able to attend, but some good discussions we were able to have. And remarkably, only one question or comment from our good friend down here, which was a legitimate question. And it was not that they weren't legitimate, but I appreciate her being, that was the only question we had on the PAC study the whole night. And I'm sure we could have talked about swimming for another 2 hours. So I just wanted to thank you again for coming and asking that question. Last but not least, I want to recognize our incredible BA and his team. They received, I'm going to make sure.
For the public, we should just say business administrator.
Yes, sorry. Our business administrator and his team, they received most recently the Association of School Business Officials International Meritorious Budget Award. I know this was a thing, but I don't know what, it doesn't have a catchy name like a Grammy. So we should come up with something. Mitch, would you put that into AI and tell us what it tells us to call this? This was for excellence.
I'll figure it out on my own, thank you.
All right. This is for excellence in the preparation and issuance of its budget, and I'm assuming this applies to our budgetary documents as well for fiscal year 2025 and 2026. Does this come with some sort of statuette or just a pat on the back? Yeah, because this is something we actually get on a regular basis. So huge shout out to Todd and Brian, and thanks for their ongoing work to keep us fiscally prudent and financially and transparent and responsible. Thank you.
Clerk? We're clapping for Todd.
Just in clap mode now.
Julie, we'll clap for you later. It's okay.
Notwithstanding that there are likely very few that are still listening, even those in the audience, perhaps. I just want to express some gratitude for our executive leadership team, for our superintendent, for our business administrator, who are always at our beck and call as board members on any and every issue. And I sometimes hesitate to text them late at night, and I'm sure in their minds thinking, "Oh, you do?"
It's because we text him back.
right? But thank you so much for your willingness to engage with us, for your accessibility, for the many deep and detailed conversations that we've had, especially over the past 8 or 9 months or so. Your work ethic and your commitment is duly noted by this board.
Thanks, Karen.
I don't have a report from the benefits committee because they moved it and I didn't remember until I had moved everything away from that schedule that day, and I was kind of sad, but whatever. So they postponed it to December, so I'll have an update on next month for that. But on the Todd piece, I just want to also give our taxpayer dollars are so precious. And so every dollar we get in, we want to make sure that it's spent, we're always in compliance, and that we take good care and are good stewards of that taxpayer dollar. And Todd and his team really help us accomplish that as a board. The fiscal responsibility, that's one of our biggest jobs, is to oversee a near $1 billion budget. And so when you break down those taxpayer dollars, and we know we're in good hands with Todd at the helm, and he has a really stellar team as well. So just wanted to, I didn't know he was getting the award, so that's really cool, but well-deserved. And Todd, please pass along my thanks to your entire team.
Chris?
I don't have any board report. I just want to express my appreciation. I'll ditto some of the sentiments that have already been said, but I think we would be lost without our superintendent, our business administrator, and our executive team. We have the best in the state, no doubt about it. I think we don't appreciate them enough, and they do take our late night calls, and so I appreciate that immensely. I also want to express my appreciation for our board. I want to thank Karen for she goes to almost every Thank You Thursday, and I appreciate that because I can't always attend. And I just think that is just a really neat thing you do. So thank you, Karen. And Clark has called me 4 times in the last 24 hours. And it's because we have to come to consensus sometime. And I think sometimes he's so eloquent to talk out exactly what I'm thinking. And so I appreciate him. I appreciate Julie. Her heart is in her community, and I see it every day. So thank you, Julie. And Kim, I love your perspective. We don't always agree on everything, but I can appreciate what you bring to the table is so different, and I love it. So thank you. And Connie, man, she started the GTI. You guys, come on! Like, how cool is that? When she got up to go get that award, I was like, oh my gosh, Connie was there. Like, that's amazing to me, and we get the value of that. We get her knowledge and her longevity on the board, which is valuable to us, so valuable. So thank you, Connie. And then there's Nicole, who is she is our leader, and she does so much. You guys have no idea. So thank you, Nicole. That's all.
Okay, so USBA, we have the Master Board certification that if you want it, the deadline is December 1st, probably November 30th. And so that training is online. And then in January, we start, now there's interims meetings going on in the legislature. Tomorrow, the education interim is at 8:30 in the Senate building, 8:30 a.m. if anyone wants to go. And then we have our USBA conference in January 8th, 9th, and 10th will be, and Day on the Hill will be January 30th. And then they're going to have a public school, meeting earlier in January, but I don't have that date. So maybe next time, when we meet in a couple of weeks, I can find that date. And that's all that I have.
You said January 20th is the day on the Hill?
30th is day on the
Like
Hill.
Tuesday? Okay. Thank you. Kim, do you have anything?
That's all.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we did meet the Salt Lake County Parks and Rec Advisory Committee Subcommittee on the My County Rec Pals this last month. Just discussing various ideas for that program. Not a whole lot new to report on, other than just, I guess the biggest thing to come out of that was trying to create better partnerships between the county and the school districts to help promote events and activities better. I shared Luke's info with them. I don't know if they've reached out yet, but that's kind of their plan at this point to try to coordinate. And that, well, just to let you know now, they don't have any other meetings the remainder of the year, so I will not have another update until 2026.
Thanks, Kim. Julie?
We had a district community council meeting, and I really can't remember what we talked about. Mitch and Doug, I remember both of you guys said stuff there.
PBL.
PBL, and what else? There were two things. Which policy?
The one you just
discrimination?
The harassment.
So there, look, I'm on a one-track mind right now. It's going to be a week before you do anything but PAC study.
We're with you. We're supportive. We're here for you.
So we did that. And then we also, I just wanted, there are a couple of you who still need to turn in your superintendent evaluation. Encourage you to do that. I got yours. A couple of people just haven't. And then I just wanted to second, so I went in and did my USBA certification stuff and was surprised that it took me only an hour to get my whole thing. And it's because, you know what? We're a freaking awesome board. Like, it's like, do all of these things. And I was like, oh, done. And every single one of you I already know has done all of those things. So it's a checklist. That's all you got to do. And then there are 3 videos that you have to watch. They're about 15 minutes each. So,
Can you watch them on double speed?
well, okay, that's on 1.5 speed, the 15 minutes. And then you have to, like, take a quiz at the end. So, anyway, it took me 1 hour to get the whole certification. So, go team. That's all.
How are you doing on your vector training?
I don't know. When they said that, I was like, I don't even know if I did mine or not.
Just a reminder that you all need to do your
I better go
vector
check
training if
on
you have
that.
Okay, for mine, just so you all are aware, we had a calendar committee meeting, and we came up with 2 very different calendars for us to be able to, I took everything off the agenda for today that I possibly could. And so we will be seeing that in December. We will be looking at those 2 calendars and then voting on if we're going to share those, if those are the ones that we're going to send out just to vote on. So be looking for those. Hopefully we have get some good feedback from that, and they'll also share with you at that time the results of the original survey. Law and policy, we met yesterday. We did our second reading today. We did also talk about we put off the vehicle use standards just because we had some questions with Todd. But I believe we're going to bring that as a first reading or a second reading next meeting in December. And hopefully we'll be able to resolve that in the future, the other section of it. We did talk with Dr. Bryce Day about the special ed policy updates. We do have some obligations there to update them per law and it's kind of creating its own policy, is what you say, a separate policy. So please look at that and make sure you review that as it comes out. There are some significant things mostly that are already included in the law that we have to include in there. The student code of conduct also went along with that, and that's an updated policy with Dr. Day. And then we did bring up a discussion with the graduation standards and requirements. We have some interesting information that we need to discuss and probably have an understanding of how to move forward on. So hopefully we'll be able to have that discussion with you all coming forward. The last bit of this is an 8-hour workday task force. I want to emphasize that it is a task force. It is not a committee.
That's very important.
I feel like it's a line from Star Wars. I am not a committee. We're not a committee. We are a task force, and we want to emphasize that because it feels like a committee says that we have already made a decision. We have not. Yes, I don't know who's still listening, but we want to emphasize that we have not. Thank you for being here, those of you who are here. We have not made any sort of decision. We did send out a letter to make sure, first of all, we have an FAQ page. So if you have anybody who has any questions about this, please refer them to the FAQ page. They are also welcome to ask any questions, and we update that. We look at that every single week that we meet so that we can update that. The second thing is we sent out a letter saying thank you for taking the survey. Those people who participated, we sent out the survey to the teachers and the admin and asked them for their feedback. We just sent out, I believe today or tomorrow, the invites to people who are going to come and be part of our focus groups. We're going to hold focus groups for 3 weeks in December. We have that divided out. I am highly aware of the potential problems of me being in the room, so I have invited our other people that are in that room to invite me out of the room if I need to leave. So I'm just going to be totally blunt about that. But we hope to get some really good feedback around this 8-hour workforce. Just to reemphasize the 8-hour day, we just are looking at the possibility. There's no decisions being made yet. We need to know what this looks like. So that is meeting. We'll meet again on Monday. That one's not canceled. I have to remember which ones are canceled. We'll meet again on Monday and look forward to continuing to update and move forward.
May I ask a question in that regard?
Please.
Will that be the subject of a future study session, or how will you go about updating the board at large in that regard?
I would anticipate that we probably would want to bring it as a study session, just to kind of, as the results, after we are able to talk about this. The anticipation is that we get the results before we go into negotiations in the spring. So I think it would be valuable for you as a board to understand what our updates are, what we glean from this.
And I agree at a minimum. And then as we have those frequent during negotiations meetings, that give and take would be, you'd be involved in that as well. Because we're going to be talking quite a bit about the 8-hour task force and some of those solutions or resolutions throughout negotiations.
So, thank you. We're good? All right, having met the end of our agenda.